Chapter 468. All of them fell. At this moment, excluding Yi Xian, there were only 9 people left in the Ghost King Palace. The old man had a companion, so the 2 of them were defending against the attacks of the other 7 people. Even though the old man was an expert with 3 earth veins, he couldn't withstand such a torment. However, he revealed the secret of the Ghost King Palace. Bloodline Seed. When Yi Xian heard this, he was a little surprised. It turned out that there was a bloodline seed in the Ghost King Palace. It was most likely left behind by the owner of the Ghost Tomb. No wonder. This bloodline seed should be a heaven-level martial art. It's definitely more precious than the Ghost King Pearl. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Right now, he was learning an upper-level heaven-level martial art. Heaven-level martial arts could only be learned by those in the spirit realm. Even if he couldn't use it, he could still take it. At this moment, he also charged over. It's not mine. Take this interspatial ring if you want it. The old man threw the interspatial ring that he had just obtained at a random person. In an instant, that person became everyone's target and died in less than a second. After he died, the interspatial ring was obtained by the nearest robust man. The robust man checked it, and sure enough, there was no bloodline seed in the interspatial ring. At this moment, he finally understood that the old man was preemptive. He planned to kill everyone before looking for the bloodline seed. Old man, let's work together to kill them. The robust man yelled. Okay. The old man nodded. Both of them had already opened 3 earth veins. In addition, there was an expert with 2 earth veins on each side. With the 4 of them working together, it was enough to kill everyone. Among the remaining 4 people, one of them had only opened 1 earth vein. They couldn't stop the robust man and the old man at all. However, there was a soul refinement stage expert who had opened 2 earth veins that targeted Yi Xian. You really don't know what's good for you. Did you not see how I instantly killed that person? Yi Xian sneered in his heart. His speed instantly increased. Azure Dragon Steps at 70% mastery. Hidden Dragon Sword Art at 90% mastery. Sword Saint Bloodline. Beast King Bloodline. These were enough for Yi Xian to challenge those in the soul refinement stage. Swish! Yi Xian's speed exploded to the extreme as he instantly arrived beside the Blind Essence Soul Realm martial artist and stabbed out with his sword. Gotcha! This martial artist's head was directly pierced through. Yi Xian didn't even use the Hidden Dragon Sword technique. After his death, his interspatial ring instantly fell into the hands of Yi Xian. Yi Xian's strength also increased a little because of this. Among these people, the highest realm among them had only opened 3 earth veins, so their attainments in Tian class martial arts were not high. Only the old man and the brawny man had reached 40% completion, while Yi Xian was only 1 step away from 100% completion. This was the difference between them. While Yi Xian was killing this cultivator, the brawny man was also killing the rest. There were only 4 people left in the Ghost King Palace. When the brawny man turned around, he saw that his companion had been killed by Yi Xian. He immediately roared, "How dare you kill him? Not only do I dare to kill him, I dare to kill you too." Yi Xian shouted coldly and suddenly moved forward. Although he had only opened 2 earth veins, his strength definitely surpassed that of the brawny man who had opened 3 earth veins. In an instant, the 2 of them exchanged blows. However, just as they came into contact, the brawny man was forced to retreat from the impact. In just 1 round, the outcome was decided. In the second round, Yi Xian directly used his killing move. Hidden Dragon Sword Art. Hidden Dragon Stab. Yi Xian's eyes flashed as the long sword in his hand pierced out like lightning. The cold gleam from the tip of the sword instantly entered the brawny man's glabella. The brawny man, a soul refinement stage expert who had opened 3 earth veins, fell just like that. Yi Xian swept over and devoured his interspatial ring. Just a little more. These items were not enough for him to open 3 earth veins. Therefore, Yi Xian placed his attention on the old man and the other middle-aged man. Since Yi Xian had the ability to kill the brawny man, he naturally posed a threat to them. "Little brother, there is no enmity between us. Let's stop here." The old man looked at Yi Xian and suddenly felt a little worried. He felt that even if the 2 of them joined forces, they were still no match for Yi Xian. "Hand over your interspatial rings and I can spare your lives," Yi Xian said coldly. After the old man heard this, he exchanged glances with the middle-aged man beside him and shouted angrily, "Don't be too greedy in life. Little brother, don't be too greedy. If that's the case, then I'll just have to do it myself. When the time comes, I won't show any mercy." Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. The old man hesitated for a moment. "Then this old man would like to see what you have to say such words." Immediately, the two of them rushed out. Right now, there were only the three of them left in the Ghost King Hall. As long as they killed Yi Xian, the legendary bloodline seed would be theirs. Humph, die. Yi Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent as his aura surged. One of them had opened 3 earth veins, while the other had opened 2. It was not a big deal to him. Hidden dragon swordsmanship. Yi Xian immediately used his most powerful martial technique. He used the vital qi in his body to manipulate the surrounding heaven and earth yuan qi. This made his attack twice as powerful as the other two combined. So powerful. I'm afraid he has reached 100% mastery. The old man and the middle-aged man exchanged glances. Although Yi Xian's hidden dragon swordsmanship was only at 90% mastery, he had the sacred swordsman bloodline and the enhancement of the Bahuang sword. Its power was definitely on par with, or even surpassing 100% mastery. It seemed that they had bitten off more than they could chew. They guessed that Yi Xian must be from some big faction. Otherwise, it would be rare for a disciple from a big sect to reach 100% mastery of an upper-grade heaven-level martial technique at such a young age. Let's go. The old man knew that he was no match for Yi Xian, and immediately shouted in a low voice. You're too naive. Dang. Yi Xian took advantage of the moment when the middle-aged man turned around and quickly stabbed with his sword, instantly killing the middle-aged man. Next, it was a one-on-one battle. Originally, the old man and the middle-aged man were unable to do anything to Yi Xian in a 2-on-1 battle. Now that it was a 1-on-1 battle, it was impossible for the old man to be Yi Xian's opponent. Stop. I admit defeat. I'll give you the universe ring. When the old man saw Yi Xian's insane speed, he hurriedly shouted. Do I need you to give it to me? Yi Xian shouted angrily. In less than 3 rounds, he had killed the old man. Ding. The host has opened the 3rd earth vein. Another notification sound rang out. Yi Xian could not help but laugh. These people were all top experts from a big faction. Their net worth was definitely not low. However, it did not matter. Even if their net worth increased by 100 times, it would not be able to match the martial arts seed of a spirit stage expert. Now, no one will fight with me. Yi Xian rushed out once again and searched the Ghost King Palace. He wondered where the martial arts seed was hidden. Chapter 469. Xianxia Palace. Where is the bloodline seed? I've been searching so carefully, why can't I find anything? Yi Xian was very helpless. He searched around again, but he still couldn't find anything. He also tried to destroy the surrounding walls and pillars, but he wasn't strong enough. It seemed that there were only a few possibilities. First, there was no bloodline seed at all. Second, it had been taken away by someone. Third, the bloodline seed was in a place that he couldn't get for the time being. I don't believe it. Yi Xian circled the Ghost King Palace a few more times, but he still couldn't find anything. He gave up. Forget it. It's not bad to be able to open up 3 earth veins. Yi Xian left the 5th floor in disappointment. Then he walked around the 4th floor and found the Corpse Master sect, so he destroyed it along the way. Then he left the Ghost Tomb. Although he didn't obtain the Ghost King Pearl or the martial arts seed in this trip to the Ghost Tomb, he broke through to the Soul Essence realm and opened up 3 earth veins. This was already considered very good. According to the middle-aged man from the Poison King sect, after the seal at the entrance of the Ghost Tomb was broken, it would close after a certain period of time. At that time, it would need another 10 million resentful spirits. Yi Xian couldn't be bothered to care about it. He could do whatever he wanted. When he left the Ghost Tomb and was about to leave, he suddenly encountered a team that had just arrived. There were 10 people in this team, and all of them were wearing white clothes. This was the first time Yi Xian saw them. However, the strength of this team shocked him. These 10 people were all Soul Essence Realm experts. Which territory is this force from? 10 Soul Essence Realm experts, and they are all around 30 years old. I just don't know how strong they are. Yi Xian frowned. Just as he was about to retreat, he was stared at by a few people. Stop! A young man shouted. It was obvious that he was calling for Yi Xian. When Yi Xian heard the voice, he couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He felt that the people in this team were not at a lower realm than him. Of course, realm did not represent strength. It was obvious that the weak could defeat the strong in the soul essence realm. What's the matter? Yi Xian turned to look at them. A young man took a few steps forward and said, "Did you just come out from the ghost tomb?" "So what if I am?" Yi Xian replied coldly. He did not give them any face. After all, this person's attitude was not good from the start. He did not ask them to slow down, but to stand still. "Is the Ghost King's pearl still inside?" The young man asked again. "I don't know. I didn't pass the 4th level." Yi Xian shook his head. The 4th floor. The 10 of them looked at each other. They didn't know much about the ghost tomb. "Come here and take us down," the young man said in a commanding tone. This made Yi Xian very unhappy. "Are you my son? Do you think I can just take you in just because you want to?" "My apologies. I still have matters to attend to. Farewell." Yi Xian cupped his fists at them, then turned around and left. "What a guy! How dare you be so arrogant? You're courting death." The young man was furious. He immediately drew his sword and charged towards Yi Xian. F***ck your brother-in-law. Do you think I, Yi Xian, am easy to bully? Yi Xian could not take it anymore. He took out the Bahuang sword and stabbed. Whoosh! This sword was as smooth as flowing water and as fast as lightning. The silver light swept in front of the young man in an instant. The young man was shocked. He dodged sideways, but his reaction was a little slow. The silver light pierced through his left shoulder. By the time he reacted, Yi Xian's other sword had arrived. The young man's right shoulder was hit again. Blood spurted out. What a fast attack! The 9 people behind the young man were slightly shocked. They all wondered if they could have dodged those 2 swords if they had been in his place. If Yi Xian did not know the cultivation level of the leader and did not want to cause trouble, the young man would have been dead. "You're courting death." The young man's shoulders were pierced. He was furious and prepared to fight to the death with Yi Xian. But at this moment, the leader of the group, the man with sword-like eyebrows, shouted, "Stop!" The young man steadied himself and looked at the man with sword-like eyebrows. The man with sword-like eyebrows frowned. Yi Xian's age and strength were similar to theirs. He must be from some big force. "I am Yi Feng, a disciple of Xianxia Palace in Jianghu territory. May I ask who you are?" The man with sword-like eyebrows asked politely. But it was too late to treat him politely. "What does it have to do with you who I am?" Yi Xian answered coldly. Since he had already made a move and made a grudge, he could not be a coward. "How dare you? How dare you be disrespectful to senior brother Yi?" 2 disciples immediately jumped out and pointed at Yi Xian's nose in exasperation. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly remembered that Jianghu territory seemed to be the most powerful middle-level territory in this area. He did not expect that the people of Jianghu territory would also come. "You are not from Ghost Tomb territory, right? I hope you can forgive us for offending you just now." The man with sword-like eyebrows cupped his fist and said. The surrounding disciples were very puzzled. Even if Yi Xian had a strong background, he was only one person after all. Moreover, Yi Xian had injured their junior brother, but the man with sword-like eyebrows still had to respectfully greet him. What was going on? These disciples all knew the habits of the man with sword-like eyebrows. If it was in the past, he would have killed Yi Xian long ago. "Goodbye." Yi Xian did not want to talk nonsense with them. After saying that, he turned around and left. This time, the man with sword-like eyebrows could not bear it anymore and shouted angrily, "Stop! TSK! TSK! You really showed your true colors." Yi Xian sneered and turned around. He knew that the man with sword-like eyebrows must be thinking about him. This group of people clearly had the strength to enter Ghost Tomb directly, but they insisted on letting him lead them. There must be something fishy. No, it should be said that the man with sword-like eyebrows was strange. "What do you want?" Yi Xian asked. The man with sword-like eyebrows paused and said, "Your body is contaminated with too much evil aura. There must be something extremely evil in your interspatial ring. Hand over your interspatial ring." Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and said, "Nonsense. I stayed in Ghost Tomb for a few months. How can there be no evil aura on me? Our Xianxia Palace is very sensitive to evil aura. You must have something like the 100 Ghost Pearl in your interspatial ring. At the same time, you must have practiced this kind of cultivation method. The man with sword-like eyebrows said. So what? Yi Xian replied. Our Xianxia Palace is responsible for purifying evil. Since you have practiced this kind of cultivation method, you can forget about leaving today. The man with sword-like eyebrows narrowed his eyes. Purify evil? Do you think you are a priest? Yi Xian rolled his eyes. It seemed that there was going to be a tough battle. He estimated that the man with sword-like eyebrows had opened 5 meridians, or even more. After hearing what the man with sword-like eyebrows said, the group of disciples also surrounded them. Ordinary people would be at a loss when faced with such a situation, but Yi Xian liked to fight in groups. This way, he could find a soft persimmon to pinch. He did not believe that this group of people could practice a heaven-level body movement technique to 60%. Chapter 470. Ghost King, say your grandmother's leg. Yi Xian cursed. Do it. The man with the sword-shaped eyebrows shouted, and the other 9 men simultaneously launched their attacks at Yi Xian. At the same time, Yi Xian's figure flashed as he launched a counterattack. It had to be said that the strength of the disciples of Xianxia Palace was not bad. That young man was just careless. If he had been cautious, he would not have been hit so easily. The 9 disciples were also very surprised. Even when the 9 of them joined forces, they still couldn't do anything to Yi Xian. This was enough to prove Yi Xian's aptitude. Humph! The man with sword-like eyebrows snorted coldly. It was obvious that he was not satisfied with the 9 people's performance. He took out his weapon and prepared to attack personally. In the arena, Yi Xian's face was gloomy. These 9 people had already given him a lot of pressure. After fighting for 10 seconds, he had not injured a single person. If this man with sword-like eyebrows attacked again, he would be in trouble. At that moment, he quickly descended. You want to leave? The 9 disciples of Xianxia Palace gave chase. However, Yi Xian did not intend to leave for the time being. After all, it was easier for 9 people to dodge attacks in the air. On land, there would be fewer attacks. When the 9 of them landed on the ground, Yi Xian suddenly activated Beast King's Rampage. Although it didn't increase his spirit realm by as much, it still increased his chances of winning by 30%. At this moment, the man with sword-like eyebrows in the air finally made his move. Swish! The man with the sword-like eyebrows swooped down and gripped his sword tightly, preparing to kill Yi Xian in one strike. So fast! Yi Xian raised an eyebrow. This man's speed was almost on par with his. If it was a one-on-one battle, Yi Xian would not be afraid of him. However, there were still 9 small fries around him. Yi Xian was under a lot of pressure. However, at this moment, the interspatial ring in Yi Xian's hand suddenly glowed and a petite figure appeared. This change shocked Yi Xian. He turned his head and realized that it was a wraith. Moreover, it was the little vengeful spirit that he had taken in the end. How is that possible? Yi Xian's eyes widened. This little wraith should have already been stored in the 100 Ghost Pearl. But now, it had actually run out on its own. One should know that there were 2 restrictions. One was the 100 Ghost Pearl, and the other was the interspatial ring. Previously, Yi Xian had also sorted out the items and put all the 100 Ghost Pearls and 1,000 Ghost Pearls into his interspatial ring. He was going to find a place to bury them. After the little resentful spirit appeared, it smiled at Yi Xian. Then, it extended its fingernails and instantly rushed in front of a Prime Purity Palace disciple. Hiss! Before the disciple could react, the sharp nails pierced through his chest. He was stunned, and so were the others. Even Yi Xian was stunned. What was going on? Yi Xian did not understand what was going on. He watched as his disciple went limp on the ground. The man with sword-like eyebrows, who was swooping down, opened his eyes wide. He immediately changed his target. The little wraith had killed his Prime Purity Palace disciple. He was determined to destroy the little wraith. However, when he rushed in front of the little wraith, it killed another Prime Purity Palace disciple. Moreover, it was the young man whose shoulders were pierced by Yi Xian just now. Clang! A crisp sound was heard. The man with sword-like eyebrows and the little wraith came into contact. However, The former's long sword was blocked by the latter's fingernails. Now, Xian also realized what was going on. No matter what was going on, this little wraith was helping him. Therefore, he could not waste this excellent opportunity. He immediately rushed out and put away the 2 interspatial rings. His cultivation level increased again. Although he did not open the same meridian again, he could mobilize more chi of heaven and earth. Originally, he was pinned down by 9 people. Now that 2 people were gone and his strength increased, the remaining 7 people would be defeated by him. Hidden Dragon Swordsmanship. Hidden Dragon Stab. He began to attack wildly. He was probably the only one who dared to use such a crazy move. In less than 2 seconds, a disciple's head was pierced. In the 3rd second, another disciple died. The little wraith was a great help to Xian. It helped Xian hold back the man with sword-like eyebrows, allowing Xian to kill him with ease. Damn it, where did this damn thing come from? How can this brat control such a powerful wraith? The man with sword-like eyebrows cursed in his heart. If it were not for this little wraith, Xian would have died under his sword. However, he could only watch as his junior brothers died one by one at the hands of Xian. As for him, there was nothing he could do. Soon, the 9 people died under Xian's sword one by one. At the same time, Xian had opened 4 earth meridians. Now you're finished. Xian widened his eyes and quickly rushed out. The man with sword-like eyebrows was livid. He wanted to leave, but this little wraith was faster than him and its attacks were fierce. He had no chance at all. If he waited until Xian arrived, he would be dead meat. I can't accept this. I, Yifeng, am going to be killed by this evil creature. I can't accept this. The man with sword-like eyebrows roared in his heart. At this moment, he understood why his senses were so strong. It was because he sensed this little wraith. Ghost King, she must be the Ghost King. The man with sword-like eyebrows finally reacted. In the ghost tomb, only the Ghost King had such powerful strength. If he had known, he would not have stopped Xian. Unfortunately, he was too slow to react. Die! Xian's eyes burst with murderous intent. The man with sword-like eyebrows was suppressed by the little wraith. Now that he joined in, the situation instantly became a one-sided affair. 3 seconds later, a bloody hole appeared between the man's eyebrows. Xian's sword pierced through him. Dead. Phew, he's finally dead. Xian breathed a sigh of relief. If he really had to face these 10 people from Xianxia Palace, he would have no choice but to run away. He would have to exhaust them to escape. However, he did not expect to have a helper. The man with sword-like eyebrows had already opened 6 earth veins. His strength was impressive, but he ended up with his head blown off. After the man with sword-like eyebrows died, Xian quickly took his interspatial ring and unceremoniously devoured it. Then, he turned his attention to the little wraith nearby. You're the Ghost King, right? Xian understood and asked. The little wraith retracted her fingernails and nodded. Who would have thought that the Ghost King was a little girl? Although she did not know if she was before, she was now. You broke the 1st and 2nd seals, but you can't break the 3rd seal. So you asked me to take you in and take you out of the ghost tomb? Xian asked again. The little wraith nodded again. Indeed, she used Xian because she could not break the 3rd seal of the ghost tomb. Xian and the little wraith looked at each other for a while. The former was on the verge of breaking down. He had fought for the Ghost King's pearl just now, but he did not know that the Ghost King had been taken in by him. He was truly helpless. The ghost tomb was the place where the Ghost King was sealed. The Poison King sect was destroyed in order to protect the ghost tomb. Chapter 471. Bloodline Seed Xian was also hesitating. He was hesitating whether he should kill the little Ghost King to prevent it from harming the world. After all, the little Ghost King possessed intelligence. At this moment, the little vengeful spirit suddenly pointed at Xian and then at her left hand. What? Xian frowned and subconsciously looked at the universe ring on his left hand. He immersed his mind into the universe ring and was completely stunned in the next moment. There was an extra seed in his universe ring. It was a bloodline seed. This is the bloodline seed left behind by the spirit stage expert? Xian widened his eyes in disbelief. It was obvious that this bloodline seed was left behind by the little vengeful spirit. He looked at the little vengeful spirit in horror. He saw the little vengeful spirit waving her translucent hand before turning around and flying away. Yi Xian did not chase after her. He took out the bloodline seed and was stunned. He had released the little vengeful spirit, and the little vengeful spirit had saved him once again. Now, he had obtained another bloodline seed. In the end, he still owed the little vengeful spirit a favor. Forget it. It doesn't seem to be as terrifying as the legends say. It shouldn't harm the world. Yi Xian shook his head. The little ghost king still possessed intelligence. If she wanted to kill Yi Xian would have already died. In the blink of an eye, the little vengeful spirit disappeared from Yi Xian's sight. Let me see what this heaven-level martial art of yours is. Yi Xian held the bloodline seed in his hand and silently chanted, "Devour," in his heart. Ding! The host's realm is not high enough. The system notified. An ordinary person would refine the bloodline seed, but Yi Xian could directly devour it. Since the system had notified him, it meant that it would be useless even if he devoured it. As expected, even if I give this bloodline seed to that old man, he won't be able to refine it. Yi Xian was slightly helpless. However, he knew that this bloodline seed was a heaven-level martial art called the Heaven's Grudge Blade technique. It was a pity that he couldn't learn it. Otherwise, he wouldn't mind playing around with his saber. It had been more than half a year since he came to the Blood Rock continent. It was time to go back and take a look. I wonder how the Supreme Judge and the others are doing. Yi Xian thought to himself as he headed in one direction. This time, he wanted to return to the Heavenly Water continent and see his family. He spent a few days to rush to the deep-sea underground palace. However, there was another problem. This deep-sea underground palace was built by a soul essence realm expert. There was an array formation inside, and only people in the strength realm could pass through. Of course, it was also possible for one's strength to surpass the soul essence realm. As for Yi Xian, he had only opened 4 earth veins. It was unknown whether he could break through the array formation and enter the deep-sea underground palace. He re-entered the entrance of the underwater palace. As expected, with his current cultivation level, he was unable to enter the underwater palace. He was blocked by the formation. Yi Xian did not know what realm the Essence Soul Realm expert who built the deep-sea underground palace was in. Had he opened 1 earth vein, 72 earth veins, or 36 heaven veins? It seems that I can only use brute force. Yi Xian took out the 8 desolate sword and aimed it at the array formation. There were 2 ways to break the array. The first was to destroy the entire array, and the second was to break a hole. Yi Xian did not need to completely destroy the array. He only needed to break a hole to enter. After breaking a hole, he naturally could not use an AoE skill like the Golden Platform Exterminating Magic Palm. He needed to use a more focused martial art like the Silver Dragon Thrust. Hidden Dragon Sword Art. Hidden Dragon Thrust. Hidden Dragon Sword Art. Hidden Dragon Thrust. Yi Xian kept using the Hidden Dragon Thrust, which was at 90% mastery, to attack the same point of the array formation. The array formation was constantly shaking from the attacks, producing loud rumbling sounds. It had to be said that the defensive strength of this array formation was very high. Yi Xian attacked it more than 10 times, but he was still unable to break through it. It seemed that it would not be easy to return to the Heavenly Water continent. With his current realm, the Heavenly Water continent and the Blood Rock continent were not far away. However, this was the only way back. After all, above the deep-sea underground palace was the chaotic astral ocean. Even spirit realm experts could die there. If he, who was only at the spirit realm, dared to go there, he would definitely die without a complete corpse. Yi Xian kept using the Hidden Dragon Thrust. Although he had the Sacred Tree of Life to recover his chi, it was still a high-rank heaven-level martial art. Using it continuously was not enough. Very soon, his true chi was completely depleted. However, the formation was also recovering at the same time as he was recovering his true chi. I can't just use all my chi. It seems that I need to spend some time to continuously attack and prevent the array from recovering. Yi Xian thought in his heart. In short, he needed to continuously attack. Yi Xian walked forward. The bloodline of the Sacred Tree of Life allowed his chi to recover at an astonishing speed. Not only that, but his physical strength would also quickly recover. Therefore this time, he also needed to use normal attacks to break the array formation. Hidden Dragon Thrust. Normal attacks. hidden dragon thrust, normal attacks. Yi Xian maintained this rhythm, allowing his qi to recover and consume the same amount. This time, he attacked the array formation for an entire day. After that, the formation was finally broken through, and he entered it. I'm finally in. Yi Xian was exhausted. If it wasn't for the support of the bloodline of the sacred tree of life, he definitely wouldn't have been able to hold on. However, it was already good that he was able to enter. He was afraid that he couldn't break the array formation. If that was the case, he could only come back after his realm increased. He still had the map of the deep-sea underground palace. With this map, he quickly returned to the dragon palace. Human? Yi Xian looked at the two guards on the walls of the dragon palace in surprise. The dragon palace was the territory of the Sea Dragon clan. He passed by it when he went to the Blood Rock continent and something happened. However, a human appeared here. This was a bit inconceivable. Could it be the Heavenly Water Continent's spiritual force realm? Yi Xian thought in his heart, then walked over. Who are you? The two warriors on the dragon palace also saw Yi Xian, and one of them immediately asked, Who are you? Yi Xian frowned and asked, What nonsense are you talking about? You came from the Blood Rock continent, right? Hurry up and go back. The warrior said impatiently. This sentence made Yi Xian frown immediately. Just now, he guessed that these two were sent by the Great Elder. However, based on the quality of these two people, he was sure that these two were definitely not from the first main city. I'm originally from the Heavenly Water Continent. I want to go back now. Hurry up and get out of my way or else. Yi Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Originally from the Heavenly Water Island? The warrior muttered. After exchanging glances with the other warrior, he coldly snorted and said, What kind of joke is this? You, a piece of trash who hasn't even reached the spiritual force realm, want to go to the Blood Rock continent? Chapter 472. Skywater Island Incident. However, the man's words made Yi Xian furrow his brows. Skywater Island? Yi Xian opened his eyes wide. Hearing this, Yi Xian immediately understood that these two men were not from the Skywater continent. If not, why would they call the Skywater Island? It looked like something had happened in the Skywater continent when he went to the Blood Rock continent. Swoosh! In an instant, he dashed forward, broke through the Dragon Palace's formation, and arrived in front of these two men. When these two men finally reacted, they were completely stunned. A young Heavenly Core warrior had teleported in front of them, as if he had teleported. How was this possible? Where did you come from? Answer me. If you speak any nonsense, I'll kill you immediately. Yi Xian stood in front of these two men with the 8 desolate sword in his hand. You! The other man didn't seem to understand what was going on. Before he could finish his sentence, he felt a cold sensation on his neck, and his head fell to the ground. Blood splattered everywhere. The remaining man widened his eyes. He didn't dare speak any nonsense, so he quickly said, We're from the Skywolf Island, as expected. Yi Xian's guess was correct. These two men were not from the Skywater continent. Where is the Skywolf Island? Why are you here? Yi Xian asked again. The Skywolf Island is near the Skywater Island. We were ordered by Lord Tang Tian to guard this place, the man said without hesitation. What? Tang Tian? Yi Xian's body trembled. He was quite familiar with this name. The crown prince of the Tang dynasty was called Tang Tian, and he entered the Soaring Heaven Mansion at the same time as Yi Xian. After that, both sides had some conflicts, and Tang Tian went missing. Then what does Tang Tian look like? Yi Xian asked again. After that, the man described Tang Tian's appearance. Indeed, this was the same Tang Tian that Yi Xian knew. What is going on? Yi Xian did not understand the situation, so he immediately asked the man a few more questions. He had to get to the bottom of this matter. The man did not dare to hide anything. After all, Yi Xian had killed him like a chicken. If he was discovered, his head would probably roll to the ground in the next moment. However, he couldn't escape death in the end. After the man finished telling the story, he was killed by Yi Xian's sword. As for Yi Xian, he also understood what had happened during this period of time. That Heavenly Wolf Island was actually also a territory of the Blood Rock continent. Although it was also a middle-grade territory, it was much stronger than the Ghost Tomb territory. According to this man, they were originally from a clan on Heavenly Wolf Island. After traveling for a few months on the sea, they arrived at Heavenly Water Island by chance. After that, they met Tang Tian and found out about the Sky Water Island. Sky Water Island was not a territory of the Bloodstone continent, so the experts of this fleet were very excited. If they reported this matter, they would be able to obtain a lot of rewards. After all, this was a newly discovered island. Although it was very desolate and barren, it was still a breakthrough. After that, this fleet directly appointed Tang Tian as the acting lord, and they went back to report, and at the same time sent some people over. A new island, even if it was like an emperor in the eyes of these people, still had to be investigated. Who knows, there might be some ruins of some strong martial artists. As for other matters, the man did not know. This man had the strength of over 100 dragons, and was very close to the spirit realm. They were just ordinary crew members in the fleet. Tang Tian received a reward and broke through to the spirit realm. This is nothing. What's more important is that he actually has a spirit realm bodyguard. Xianxia frowned as he thought. This spirit realm expert was naturally a member of that fleet. However, he was not from the Heavenly Water Continent and did not understand the Heavenly Water Continent, so Tang Tian was the temporary acting lord. At this moment, Xianxia was most worried about his family and friends. Tang Tian was very similar to him in one aspect, and that was that he would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Previously in the Soaring Heaven Mansion, Xianxia went against him in every aspect. With Tang Tian's personality, how could he not take revenge? Xianxia estimated that the Soaring Heaven Mansion would definitely not be safe and sound. What he was most worried about was Song Sui Jing and the rest. At this moment, he quickly rushed to the entrance of the deep sea underground palace, then spent close to 2 days to break the array and rush out of the Death Island. The situation was urgent, so he rushed back to the Soaring Heaven Mansion. However, the thing he was most afraid of happened. The Soaring Heaven Mansion was in a mess, and there was not a single person. Tang Tian, if I don't kill you, I will change my surname to yours. Xianxia's eyes were like a volcano erupting. His figure flashed, and he quickly walked around the Soaring Heaven Mansion. As expected, there was not a single person. Even the great elder Lin Wanyue's bamboo forest was empty. Then, he quickly rushed back to the profound Sun Empire to take a look. It was still empty. Zhao Chongguang and the rest were gone. The few big families in the Lianyun city were also gone. In any case, everyone related to Xianxia was gone. Let's go take a look at the Great Song Dynasty. Xianxia suddenly thought of a place and rushed over. As expected, the Great Song Dynasty changed its name to the Great Tang Dynasty. There was only one of the 4 great dynasties left, and before Tang Tian appeared, the upper echelons of the Great Song Dynasty had disappeared. The Great Elder must have used the Universal Mirror to know about this beforehand, so she moved everyone away. Xianxia thought to himself. Tang Tian had indeed become the overlord, but Lin Wanyue was faster, and had already arranged everything. Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Wanyue had the Universal Mirror. If it was as he thought, Lin Wanyue should have known about his return. The Great Elder should be hiding somewhere. I'll just go to a random place and wait for her to find me. Xianxia casually hid in the valley of a small empire in the southern region. There were hundreds of empires in the Heavenly Water Continent, and Tang Tian was staying in the #1 main city, so she would definitely not notice. As expected, on the second day after Xianxia returned to the Heavenly Water Continent, Lin Wanyue came looking for him. Great Elder, are you all okay? After seeing Lin Wanyue, Xianxia hurriedly asked. At this moment, he knew that Lin Wanyue was in the first level of Aura Qi. This strength was enough to be an overlord in the Blood Cliff continent. Tang Tian's bodyguard was in the Essence Soul realm, and she was not his match. You should know that they are all fine. I took them away first. Lin Wanyue nodded, but after she finished speaking, she paused and said, however, after Tang Tian became the overlord, he was extremely cruel. He captured all the officials of the 3 great dynasties and beheaded them in public. All of them. Xianxia was shocked. Tang Tian actually captured all those innocent people. He really deserved to die. Chapter 473. Heavenly Wolf Island's Tang family, Divine Core Realm? Why are they capturing a Divine Core warrior? Xianxia was confused. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's not something good. Lin Wanyue shook her head. I'll kill that Tang Tian first. Yi Xian was furious. He was about to rush to the central province and kill Tang Tian, but he was stopped by Lin Wanyue. Don't be impulsive, there is still a soul essence warrior there. Lin Wanyue reminded him. I've asked around, that man has only opened 7 earth veins. I can handle it. Yi Xian nodded his head solemnly. You can handle it? Lin Wanyue was shocked. It had only been half a year since Yi Xian went to the Bloodrock continent, and he had broken through from the Strength realm to the Soul Essence realm. Wasn't this a bit too fast? Sure enough, your talent is better than your father's. But, you still have to be careful, that fleet might arrive soon. Lin Wanyue said with a frown. If the fleet returned to the Heavenly Wolf Island, they would definitely send some mighty warriors. Perhaps, they would be stronger than the Soul Essence warrior in the Heavenly Water Island. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Yi Xian said. After that, Lin Wanyue told Yi Xian where they were hiding. Then she handed the all-knowing mirror to Yi Xian. After leaving behind some precious heavenly and earthly treasures, Yi Xian directly flew towards the central continent. The Heavenly Water Island was like an island in the eyes of these mighty warriors. In less than 2 minutes, he arrived above the #1 main city in the central province. Apart from the Soul Essence warrior, there were also many Spirit and Strength realm warriors in the fleet. Right now, they were all wandering around, trying to find out if there were any secrets hidden in the Heavenly Water Island. Yi Xian stood high up in the sky, looking down at the #1 main city. The stronger one was, the stronger one's senses would be. Right now, he could sense a few Spirit realm warriors. With the all-knowing mirror in his hand, he knew everything that was happening in the Heavenly Water Island. However, the Soul Essence warrior wasn't in the #1 main city. But, Tang Tian was here. But before that, Yi Xian decided to kill those Spirit Realm trash first. There were a total of 20 Spirit Realm cultivators from the Heavenly Wolf Island's Tang family. But there were only 5 of them in the first main city. Moreover, all of them were immersed in women. Yi Xian directly charged in and chopped off his head without waiting for the other party to react. After that, Yi Xian killed all of Tang Tian's lackeys and left. Now it was Tang Tian's turn. Tang Tian was in the first city lord's residence, and was also immersed in a group of women. When Yi Xian appeared behind him, he did not even notice him. Ah! Suddenly, a beautiful woman cried out in alarm. Tang Tian, who was leaning on another girl's thigh, heard the scream and frowned. He turned his head and his face turned pale. Yi Xian. When Tang Tian saw Yi Xian's face, his eyes immediately shot out 2 rays of light. Yi Xian was the person he wanted to kill the most. Tang Tian, I really didn't expect this. If I had known, I would have cut you into 8 pieces. Yi Xian said regretfully. Although most of the people were fine, Lin Wanyue did not expect Tang Tian to vent his anger on the innocent officials of the great Tang dynasty. Tang Tian looked on with a gloomy face. Yi Xian was able to silently appear behind him, a Spirit Realm martial artist. His strength was definitely stronger. However, he could not help but laugh. Ha ha ha, so it's you. Are you here to die? Although he knew that he could not defeat Yi Xian, there was a Spirit Realm expert in the first city lord's residence, so Tang Tian had some confidence. Killing you in one go is too easy for you. You will pay for your mistakes with your pain. Yi Xian disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, Tang Tian's 4 limbs were chopped off. The speed of the former's attack was faster than Tang Tian's reaction. What? Tang Tian widened his eyes in disbelief. He was a level 9 Imperial Qi expert, but his 4 limbs were chopped off in an instant. Don't worry, I won't let you die so easily. Yi Xian sprinkled some medicinal powder on Tang Tian's wounds. In an instant, Tang Tian's wounds began to heal. Tang Tian was in so much pain that his head was about to explode. Now that his wounds were healing, he wanted to kill himself. Now that his wounds had healed, how was he going to reattach his broken limbs? In the next moment, he felt a pain in his scalp. When he turned his head, he realized that he was being held in the hands of a white skeleton warrior. Now, Tang Tian had completely become a cripple. Watch him. If he wants to commit suicide, knock him out. Yi Xian ordered the white skeleton warrior puppet with level 10 aura energy in his heart. After that, he left again. This time, his target was the Soul Essence Realm expert. The Spirit Realm expert from the Tang family of the Celestial Wolf Island was an old man. He had already opened 7 earth veins and was very strong. Yi Xian landed in his courtyard. Although Yi Xian deliberately suppressed himself, it was hard for the other party not to notice at such a close distance. "Who is it?" An old voice drifted out from the house. Shortly after, the door was opened and an old man walked out from inside. "The person who will kill you." Yi Xian held the 8 desolate sword and answered coldly. "Oh." The old man squinted his eyes. He could also feel that Yi Xian was in the spirit realm. He glanced at the white skeleton warrior puppet and Tang Tian, who was in its hands. He had roughly investigated the celestial water island. There was only one spirit realm expert, and it was impossible for there to be a spirit realm expert. Therefore, he guessed that Yi Xian was like him, an outsider. The celestial water island was first discovered by my Tang family. My Tang family has already reported this matter. You want to take the credit? The old man said. I am from the celestial water island. You said that the celestial water island was first discovered by your Tang family? Yi Xian asked. You're from the celestial water island? The old man was surprised. He couldn't even find a spirit realm expert, so why would there be a spirit realm expert? Before the old man could say anything, Yi Xian asked again, why did you capture those divine core warriors? Hee, it's just an experiment. The old man laughed. He wasn't surprised that Yi Xian knew about this matter. After all, Tang Tian had been captured by Yi Xian. Experiment? Yi Xian furrowed his brows. Sure enough, they were not good people. The Celestial Wolf Island's Tang family was using these people as lab rats. I don't think you're going to tell me. If that's the case, let's do it. Yi Xian immediately flew up into the air. He was in the #1 main city, and if he fought here, it might affect many people. Therefore he had to go outside the city. Humph! The old man coldly harumphed. Without saying anything, he followed behind Yi Xian. Unlike those at the spirit realm, a spirit realm warrior's cultivation level could not be seen through with a single glance. Therefore, the old man dared not let his guard down. Chapter 474. Disguise, what's your name? After landing, the old man couldn't help but ask. Xianxia. Yi Xian casually replied. All right. Xianxia. No matter where you're from, since you dare to appear in front of me today, your fate is already decided. Make your move. Let me see what you're capable of. The old man also took out a long sword. Yi Xian held the 8 desolate sword and watched coldly. At this moment, he was also performing a series of actions in his heart. Ding. Host has learned the Prime Clarity Sword Art. Current proficiency is 10%. Ding. Host has learned the Prime Clarity Demonic Stomping Steps. Current proficiency is 10%. Although he had already raised the Hidden Dragon Sword Art to 90% proficiency, the Hidden Dragon Sword Art was created by the Poison King sect. The Prime Clarity Sword Art was the absolute art of the Prime Clarity Palace. Although these two martial arts were both high-tier heaven-tier martial arts, the Prime Clarity Sword Art was much stronger than the Hidden Dragon Sword Art. This time, he happened to meet an opponent who was around the same realm. It was very suitable for him to practice his martial arts. You're not going to make a move? Seeing that Yi Xian was in a daze, the old man couldn't help but ask. However, just as he spoke, Yi Xian used the Prime Clarity Demonic Stomping Steps that he just learned and charged over. Humph! The old man snorted and faced him head-on. Both of them were in the Essence Soul realm and could use the surrounding Yuan Qi to fight. However, the Yuan Qi in the Sky Water Island was much less than in the Bloodcliff continent, so their battle wasn't very intense. Ding! The Prime Clarity Sword Art's proficiency has increased. Current proficiency is 20%. Ding! The Prime Clarity Demonic Stomping Steps proficiency has increased. Current proficiency is 20%. The two martial arts were improving rapidly. In just a few rounds, the Prime Clarity Sword Art's proficiency had increased to 60%. The old man was going easy at the beginning to test Yi Xian's realm. Now, as the Prime Clarity Sword Art's proficiency increased, Yi Xian's attacks became more and more ferocious. He had no choice but to show his strength. However, in the next moment, the old man found a place. He seemed to have seen the martial arts that Yi Xian was using somewhere before. He was thinking as he defended. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Xianxia Palace. You are a disciple of Xianxia Palace? The old man exclaimed. The Xianxia Palace was a power in the heavenly absolute territory. It had branches in many territories, including the heavenly Wolf Island. That was why he found it familiar. You know him? Yi Xian was a little surprised. These two martial arts were obtained from the disciples of Xianxia Palace in the Ghost Tomb territory. Xianxia Palace was in the Heaven Absolute territory, which was quite a distance away from the Heavenly Wolf Island. How could this old man know them? As he attacked, he replied, "So what if I am?" Unexpectedly, the old man continued to shout, "Stop! Our Tang clan is also working for Xianxia Palace." What? Upon hearing this, Yi Xian was shocked again. The Tang family was on the Heavenly Wolf Island, so how could they have any relationship with the Heavenly Absolute Territory's Xianxia Palace? If that was really the case, then there was only one explanation. Xianxia Palace had a branch on Heavenly Wolf Island. Even so, Yi Xian did not stop and continued to attack. "Stop! What are you trying to do?" The old man shouted once again. Although the Tang clan was strong, they were not strong enough to fight Xianxia Palace. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly stopped attacking and asked, "Then why did you capture those people?" "Of course we're sending them to Xianxia Palace." The old man furrowed his brows and asked, "Which branch are you from?" "I'm from the Heavenly Absolute Territory." Yi Xian answered, "Impossible. How did you pass through the deep-sea underground palace?" The old man was shocked. He had walked around the entire Heavenly Water Island, so of course he had found the deep-sea underground palace. He had tried to break through the formation, but he couldn't. That was why he had sent 2 men to guard it. "You can't, but that doesn't mean I can't. Why did you capture those people?" Yi Xian asked again. "I told you, we're sending them to the Supreme Pure Palace. The Supreme Pure Palace branch on the Heavenly Wolf Island needs Divine Core death row prisoners every month, and we just happened to discover this Heavenly Water Island, so..." The old man explained. Although he didn't continue, Yi Xian understood what he was trying to say. "Prisoners on death row? You're sending those innocent people as prisoners on death row? Also, why does that branch need so many prisoners on death row?" Yi Xian asked with a puzzled expression. "I don't know either." The old man shook his head. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly attacked again. The old man cried out in surprise. "What are you doing?" The Tang family was working for Xianxia Palace, and Yi Xian was a disciple of Xianxia Palace. There shouldn't be any conflicts between them. "You're lying. Xianxia Palace has always been a righteous sect. Why would we disregard human lives? Besides, you said you wanted them to test it out. How could you not know?" Yi Xian shouted out loudly. The old man immediately realized that he had let the cat out of the bag when they were in the first main city. But, what surprised him even more was that Yi Xian's attacks suddenly became fiercer. Since the beginning, Yi Xian had been trying to improve his proficiency in martial arts. Although there were 3 earth veins between him and the old man, this wasn't the Bloodstone continent, and he couldn't use much natural yuan energy here. Right now, he was pressuring the old man, forcing him to tell him the truth. "Fine, I'll tell you. While backing away, the old man shouted out, "There is a huge group of devils sealed under Xianxia Palace, and they are showing signs of breaking through the seal. That's why Xianxia Palace needs a large number of prisoners on death row, and these devils can possess human bodies so that they can break through the seal. Once they break through the seal, they will be killed by Xianxia Palace disciples." After listening to the old man, Yi Xian finally understood what was going on. It turned out that Xianxia Palace needed a large number of vessels to bring these devils out and kill them, then use this method to continue sealing these devils. It looked like all the captured Divine Core prisoners were going to be used as vessels, and then be killed by Xianxia Palace disciples. Xianxia Palace's method was still acceptable, but this Tang family deserved to die. If the Tang family were capturing people from Heavenly Wolf Island, he wouldn't care, but why did they come to Heavenly Water Island to capture people? How could he allow this? If there weren't enough Divine Core prisoners, they might capture true Profound Warriors, true Origin Warriors, and true Spirit Warriors. Although they might be killed by these devils, it was still better than nothing. Because of this Tang family, Tang Tian's tyrannical rule had led to the deaths of all officials from the Great Song, Great Zhou, and Great Yan dynasties. This revenge had to be avenged. Seeing that Yi Xian was still attacking, the old man shouted out once again, "We're just following orders. Buddy, if you keep attacking, don't blame me for being merciless." Although Xianxia Palace was a powerful force, everyone had a temper, and the old man couldn't hold it in any longer. "Then why don't you show me how merciless you are?" Yi Xian furiously shouted out, and his aura instantly skyrocketed. Beast King Rampage. On Heavenly Water Island, where natural yuan energy was scarce, a body's physique was more effective. With a few thousand dragon strength and a 30% increase in movement speed, Yi Xian's speed had greatly surpassed the old man's. Chapter 475. Looking for me? So fast. After witnessing Yi Xian's speed, the old man was stunned. He knew that he could no longer hold back and counterattacked with all his might. But what he didn't know was that Yi Xian was using him as a sparring partner. Yi Xian's martial arts were improving rapidly. Ding! The Prime Clarity Sword Arts proficiency has increased. Current proficiency is at 80%. Ding! The Prime Clarity Sword Arts proficiency has increased. Current proficiency is at 90%. With the bloodline of a sword saint, the proficiency of the sword art increased quickly. In less than a minute, the Prime Clarity Sword Art had reached 90% proficiency, while the old man's sword art was only at 60% proficiency. Yi Xian felt that it was about time and finally began to deal the killing blow. Prime Clarity Demonic Slaying Slash. Yi Xian slashed out with his sword, sending the old man flying. Fortunately, the old man blocked the attack with his sword, or else he would have been in danger. But in the next moment, the old man's face froze. 100 Ghosts Parade. The moment the old man was sent flying, Yi Xian released a large number of wraiths. These wraiths were all at level 9 and 10. Although they didn't have much effect on the old man, Yi Xian was only using them to hold him back. Only now did the old man realize that Yi Xian wasn't a disciple of the Prime Clarity Palace, but a member of the demonic sect who had killed a disciple of the Prime Clarity Palace. I didn't want to bully him with numbers, but there's no other choice. Yi Xian thought to himself. He had wanted to kill the old man in a one-on-one battle, but he suddenly saw an image appear on the omniscient mirror. A fleet of ships had landed on Sky Water Island. They must be from the Celestial Wolf Island. They had come at the wrong time, so Yi Xian had to kill the old man quickly. The old man was instantly surrounded by a group of wraiths, while Yi Xian mixed in with them, waiting for an opportunity. Suddenly, he found a flaw in the old man's defense and immediately slashed out with his sword. Prime Clear Demonic Slaying Slash. The martial arts of the High Purity Palace were extremely powerful against evil creatures. This High Purity Demonic Slaying Slash was also the same. In an instant, it scattered the souls of the few wraiths, and then struck the old man. Boom! This time, the old man did not have the ability to resist and was directly cut in two. After that, Yi Xian followed up with a hidden dragon thrust, completely killing the old man. It had to be said that the old man's strength was not bad. In just a second, he had killed more than half of the wraiths. However, he was still lacking compared to Yi Xian. Even if he didn't use the human wave tactic, it was only a matter of time before Yi Xian killed him. After he died, Yi Xian unceremoniously took off his interspatial ring. Ding! Host has unlocked the 5th Earth Vein. The old man should have some status in the Tang family, as his net worth was even greater than that of the disciples of the Xianxia Palace. We're running out of time. Wei Zhentian, hide this guy. Yi Xian immediately summoned Wei Zhentian. He couldn't just let Tang Tian die like this. Once he returned, he was going to use the fallen spirit sex methods to torture Tang Tian. The fleet had come ashore, and the 3 men leading the fleet were heading toward the central province. As for Yi Xian, he was going to destroy their ships and kill all the sailors before they left. After that, he would kill all 3 men one by one. Without hesitation, he started running toward the fleet while avoiding the 3 men. When the 3 men arrived at the central province, Yi Xian had already found their fleet. This time, the Tang family was going to capture some divine core warriors as well. As long as Yi Xian killed all the ships and sailors, these 3 men wouldn't be able to capture anyone and bring them back. 100 Spirit Realm warriors? Why are they using so many men this time? Yi Xian was shocked. It looked like the Tang family was going to capture more men and bring them back to Heavenly Wolf Island. That was why Yi Xian wouldn't let them go. Kill! In the blink of an eye, he charged toward the fleet. There were 200 Spirit Realm warriors in this fleet, and 1,000 Spirit Realm warriors. Although it was a huge number, in the eyes of a Spirit Realm warrior like Yi Xian, they were just a bunch of ants. In less than half a minute, all these men were turned into corpses, and all their storage rings had fallen into Yi Xian's hands. The 1,000 Spirit Realm warriors weren't a big deal, but all these Spirit Realm warriors' storage rings were worth a lot of money. However, it wasn't enough for Yi Xian to open up the 6th earth vein. After that, Yi Xian destroyed another dozen ships. After that, he took out the myriad mirror. The 3 Spirit Realm warriors couldn't find Tang Tian and the old man, so they split up and started searching. For them, the heavenly water continent was just like a small island, and with their senses, it wasn't a problem for them to find a Spirit Realm warrior. The 3 men split up, and that was what Yi Xian wanted. Yi Xian didn't know what cultivation realm these 3 men were at, so it was best for him to split up and find them. At that moment, he used the myriad mirror to get closer to the nearest person. Soon, he found one of them. Not only that, he also used his identity as a Xianxia Palace warrior. This Spirit Realm warrior was the same as the old man, only opening up 7 earth veins. However, his cultivation realm was lower than the old man's, so he was easily killed by Yi Xian. After Yi Xian obtained his storage ring, his strength increased again, and he started searching for the second person. The second person also opened up 7 earth veins, but he also died at the hands of Yi Xian. As for the last person, he also opened up 7 earth veins, but he was also killed by Yi Xian. At the same time, Yi Xian also found out the purpose of the Tang family's fleet. His guess was right. The Tang family wanted to capture all the people in the true spirit realm and above on the continent. Fortunately, he came back early. If he came back a little later, the entire heavenly water continent would be empty. The 3 spirit realm warriors, in addition to the others, allowed Yi Xian's cultivation realm to increase again, and he opened up the 6th earth vein. After that, he captured Tang Tian and gave him to the others to torture. Great Elder Lin Wanyue was hiding at the edge of the heavenly water continent. To be precise, he was in the Sea Dragon clan's new dragon palace. However, when Yi Xian arrived at the new dragon palace, he found that everyone was there, except for 2 people. Song Suijing and Song Jejue. Great Elder, where are Suijing and the others? Yi Xian couldn't help but ask. I forgot to tell you. Not long after they returned, they mastered that mysterious state, so they went to the Blood Cliff continent to find you. Great Elder said truthfully. What, they went to find me? Yi Xian was shocked. When they were in the deep sea underground palace, Song Suijing and Song Jejue thought that their strength couldn't keep up with Yi Xian's pace, so they returned to the heavenly water continent first. Yi Xian didn't expect that after they returned, they would master that mysterious state of cultivation, and their cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. Yes, when they came out of seclusion, they almost broke through to the spirit realm. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to enter the deep sea underground palace, so they went to the Blood Cliff continent. Lin Wanyue nodded. Yi Xian had a headache. Although he was confident in their strength, it was still the Blood Cliff continent. There were plenty of spirit realm warriors, and spirit realm warriors everywhere. Chapter 476. Heavenly Wolf Island. Although Yi Xian wanted to immediately return to the Blood Cliff continent to find the 2 of them, he had to help the Heavenly Water continent overcome the crisis first. Grand Elder, the Tang family of Heavenly Wolf Island probably won't send anyone over for the time being. However, to prevent future troubles, I have to make a trip to Heavenly Wolf Island. Yi Xian said to the Grand Elder. Be careful. Lin Wanyue did not stop him. After all, her current realm was far from enough. Okay. Yi Xian nodded. Afterward, he bid farewell to his friends and family. After killing the remaining spirit realm experts on the Heavenly Water continent, he left the Heavenly Water Island. The Tang family of Heavenly Wolf Island came by ship. However, they had thousands of people and only one Yi Xian, so flying was more than enough. There were many nautical charts in the Tang family's interspatial rings. Yi Xian knew the location of Heavenly Wolf Island. In addition, he had a compass, so it was only a matter of time before he arrived at Heavenly Wolf Island. However, it had to be said that the sea was a dangerous place. Yi Xian actually encountered a spirit realm saint beast on the way. It was a saint beast that could destroy a fleet of ships. However, Beast King's rampage did not increase his strength by much, so he was too lazy to collect the saint beast's corpses. He was also glad that he did not add the advancement point to Beast King's rampage. Otherwise, it would have been a waste. Currently, the most suitable thing for him to advance was speed and the power of his sword skills. This time, Yi Xian flew for 3 days and 3 nights before he saw Heavenly Wolf Island. If the Heavenly Water Continent and Heavenly Wolf Island were to be compared, the Heavenly Water Continent was not even 1/10 the size of Heavenly Wolf Island. Heavenly Wolf Island was near the Blood Cliff Continent, so it could also be called Heavenly Wolf Territory. Although it was only an intermediate territory, it was much stronger than Ghost Grave Territory. Yi Xian looked at Heavenly Wolf Island in front of him and immediately increased his speed to rush over. According to the Spirit Realm expert he captured, the Tang family was only an ordinary faction on Heavenly Wolf Island. The Tang family was established at the edge of Heavenly Wolf Island. At this moment, he had a plan in his mind. The Tang clan was the first to discover Sky Water Island. They reported it to their superiors and were rewarded. Therefore, Yi Xian had to figure out who the higher-ups were referring to. Was it the Sky Wolf Lord or the Bloodstone Continent? However, before he could land on Heavenly Wolf Island, several figures entered his sight in the air. There was 1 figure in front and 3 figures behind. "Help, they are pirates!" The man who was being chased shouted. "Pirates?" Yi Xian raised an eyebrow. It seemed that the 3 people behind him were not good people. He estimated that the 3 of them had only opened 4 or 5 earth veins, so their strength was not strong. Since they were outside, they should lend a helping hand. That was why Yi Xian decided to make a move. Of course, the biggest reason was that he had his eyes on the 3 pirates' universe rings. "Brat, don't overestimate yourself." A pirate saw that Yi Xian didn't move and immediately shouted. "Overconfident? You're the ones who are overestimating yourself." Dang! Yi Xian rushed out and appeared in front of the pirates in the blink of an eye. The next moment, 3 heads flew and fell into the sea. Instant kill. Yi Xian put away the 3 universe rings and directly devoured them. Apart from the 3 interspatial rings, the other reason was that the man looked like someone from Heavenly Wolf Island. He needed a tour guide. "Thank you for saving me, little brother. I am Lei Feng," the man said gratefully. "Yi Xian." Yi Xian also reported his name, then asked, "Dare I ask, what is the name of this island?" "Little brother, you're not from Heavenly Wolf Island?" Lei Feng asked in shock. "No, I'm from the Bloodstone Continent, but I lost my nautical map at sea and have been drifting blindly for a year." Yi Xian casually made up a lie. Even with a nautical map, it was extremely easy to get lost at sea. Drifting for a year was nothing. Lei Feng did not doubt him and explained, "This is Heavenly Wolf Island, a mid-level territory." Heavenly Wolf Island, huh? Phew, I finally found traces of people. Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Lei Feng glanced out of the corner of his eye and hurriedly said, "Not good, those pirates are coming. Let's go to the island quickly." Then, the 2 quickly landed on Heavenly Wolf Island. Yi Xian turned around and saw that the pirates chasing them had turned back. He asked in surprise, "They're not chasing?" "Little brother, you may not know, but Heavenly Wolf Island has a rule. Pirates can only attack at sea and are not allowed to enter the island. Now that we're on Heavenly Wolf Island, they don't dare to come in, so they retreated." Lei Feng said helplessly, "I'm from the Jianghu family. I was in charge of trading with the neighboring island, but I encountered pirates. I'm the only one who survived." "Are there many pirates around here?" Yi Xian asked again. "There are many. There are more than 10 pirate groups wandering in the sea around Heavenly Wolf Island. Little brother, you've been drifting at sea for so long, but you haven't encountered any pirates. Your luck is pretty good." Lei Feng nodded and said, "Little brother, you must be very tired after drifting at sea for so long. I'll take you into the city for a meal to repay you for saving my life." Yi Xian agreed. His purpose was to find someone to take him to understand Heavenly Wolf Island. After all, he knew nothing about it now, not even where the Tang family was. The 2 of them began to fly inland. Lei Feng had encountered pirates at sea, so he had to report back to the Jiang family first. However, it was very inconvenient to bring Yi Xian with him, so Lei Feng brought Yi Xian to his residence first. Now Yi Xian understood that Lei Feng was not from the Jiang family. They just happened to have the same surname. Lei Feng's parents had died at the hands of pirates, and he had a younger sister at home. The 2 siblings depended on each other. Lei Feng led Yi Xian into 100 Refinement City, then rushed to his residence first. However, when he returned to his house, he found a series of shouts coming from inside. Sister. Lei Feng's eyes widened in shock. He rushed in directly, only to find a man touching his sister. It's you. Lei Feng recognized this man. Lei Feng? Why are you back? This man was very surprised. He heard that Lei Feng had gone out to sea, so why did he suddenly return? Lei Feng was furious. He pushed the man away and protected his sister behind him. He shouted angrily, Zhang Bao, what are you doing? This man was called Zhang Bao. Like Lei Feng, he was a consecrator of the Jiang family. Damn it, I can't believe you ran into me. Zhang Bao shouted angrily and said, Since that's the case, then I'll be frank. Your sister has been taken a fancy to by young Master Jiang, so I'm taking her to the Jiang family. As expected, young Master Jiang still hasn't given up. Lei Feng's face was gloomy. He had already guessed it. Since you understand, then let's go. As long as your sister becomes the young mistress of the Jiang family, you can be considered to have turned over a new leaf, Zhang Bao said. Chapter 477. Kill. Humph, young Master Jiang wants your sister. If you dare to disobey, you should know the consequences. You kept delaying because you thought young Master Jiang would forget about this matter. Today, you better go and beg for forgiveness. Otherwise, no one can save you, Zhang Bao said coldly. In that case, I will leave the Jiang family. Lei Feng grabbed Luo Feng's hand and prepared to leave without thinking. You want to leave? Zhang Bao's eyes widened as he threw a punch. Lei Feng didn't expect Zhang Bao to attack him in the city. Moreover, Zhang Bao's cultivation level was higher than his. He had already opened 6 meridians, which was 2 meridians higher than Lei Feng. Therefore, Lei Feng was sent flying by the punch. Brother! Luo Feng exclaimed. Humph, let's go. Zhang Bao rushed forward and grabbed Luo Feng's wrist, preparing to take her back to the Jiang family by force. However, at this moment, a large hand suddenly patted Zhang Bao's shoulder. Who is it? Zhang Bao turned around and found that it was a young man. He immediately threw a punch. Yi Xian easily dodged the punch and swept the Bahuang sword. Zhang Bao's arm was sent flying as blood gushed out. What? Zhang Bao was stunned. In the next moment, he was sent flying by Yi Xian's punch. Young man, you dare to touch me? Zhang Bao's eyes widened. Not only do I dare to touch you, but I also dare to touch your interspatial ring. Yi Xian took off the interspatial ring from Zhang Bao's severed arm and poured everything into the devouring space. Then, he cut the interspatial ring in half. If the interspatial ring was damaged, the items inside would disappear. No one knew where they went. Zhang Bao's eyes turned red when he saw his interspatial ring falling to the ground. He roared and charged at Yi Xian. However, he'd only opened up 6 earth veins, while Yi Xian had just opened up the 7th earth vein. Yi Xian was able to kill enemies above his cultivation level. Now that his cultivation level was higher than Zhang Bao's, the latter could only be killed in a second. When they saw Zhang Bao's head flying, Rufus Maple and Rufus Maple were stunned. Killing people in the city? Not good. There's a nighthawk in the sky. The city guards will be here soon. Let's go. Wounded, Maple pulled the Luan Xiaowan and rushed out of the city. If it wasn't for Yi Xian this time, Lei Xiaowan would definitely have been taken away, so Yi Xian could be considered the 2 brothers' savior. However, what Yi Xian did not expect was that flying was prohibited in the city, and there were also a large number of saint beasts in the air. The fact that he had killed someone would be exposed very soon. It was precisely because of this that Lu Ruffing immediately brought them out of the city. Fortunately, they were able to leave the city easily. I'm sorry, I didn't know this would happen. Yi Xian felt very guilty. Now, the siblings had to leave. Zhang Bao was arrogant and despotic. If he was allowed to leave, he would definitely return to the Jiang family to report. At that time, the Jiang family would send experts to chase after him. However, he did not expect that there would be saint beasts in the 100 refining city, so the matter was blown up by him. It's not your fault. I've already made preparations to leave the Jiang family. This time, young Master Jiang took advantage of me going out to sea to forcefully kidnap my sister. How can I continue to stay in such a family? Rufus Maple shook his head. Yi Xian sighed as he followed. Rufus Maple was already over 35 years old, while his sister was only 20 years old. Their parents were killed when Lei Xiaowan was 1 month old. Therefore, the the 15-year-old Rufus Maple took on the heavy responsibility of raising his sister. The former had climbed up the ladder to achieve what he had today, and he had even worked hard for the Jiang family. Unexpectedly, the Jiang family made him bitterly disappointed. Xian saw the shadow of adjudicator song in Rufus Maple, so he could not stand by and watch. Someone is chasing us. At this moment, Xian suddenly looked back and saw a team rushing out from the city, quickly chasing after them. Rufus Maple's face was gloomy as he said, "It's the City Lord's Tiger Cavalry team. Their strength is above 7 Earth Vein. Little brother, you take Qingwan and leave first. I'll go back with them." "Brother!" Lei Xiaowan immediately exclaimed when she heard this. Xian understood that Rufus Maple wanted to go back and take the blame. However, Xian treated this Tiger Cavalry team as experience. "You guys continue to run. Don't worry, I don't care about these people," Xian said coldly. At this moment, Rufus Maple could only sigh at Xian's strength. Otherwise they could only be captured. It did not matter if he died, but the Jiang family had a good relationship with the city lord's mansion. If Lei Xiaowan was captured, she would definitely be sent to the Jiang family's young master Jiang. The Tiger Cavalry team rode on a type of tiger sacred beast. They were extremely fast. Although they could not catch up to Xian, they could catch up to Rufus Maple, who had only opened 4 earth veins, and Lei Xiaowan, who had not even reached the soul essence realm. Just as the Tiger Cavalry team was about to catch up to the 3 of them, Xian suddenly stopped and instantly turned around to kill them. Prime Clarity Sword Art. Xian immediately used the Prime Clarity Sword Art that had been raised to 90%. His speed was even faster than before. In less than 3 seconds, he had killed the 10 Tiger Cavalry team and their mounts. So strong. Rufus Maple and Lei Xiaowan were stunned. The latter was even more astonished because Xian was about the same age as her, but his strength was worlds apart from hers. At this moment, Xian had already collected the 10 people's universe rings and their corpses. Ding! The host has opened the 8th earth vein. After hearing the notification, Xian could not help but grin. Then, he ran to Rufus Maple and asked, "What are the realms of the City Lord and the Patriarch of the Jiang family?" Rufus Maple was stunned and said, "The Patriarch of the Jiang family has already opened 12 earth veins, and the City Lord of the 100 Refinement City has already opened 14. 12, 14? Xian's eyes lit up. If that was the case, why would he run? However, he still escorted Rufus Maple and Lei Xiaowan to a safe mountain range first. Then, he put on a small face mask, carried the head of the Tiger Cavalry team's captain, and returned to the entrance of the 100 Refinement City. At this moment, the 100 Refinement City was already in an uproar. When Xian arrived at the city gate, the generals guarding the city also looked at him with fear. To be able to kill a Tiger Cavalry team, he had to open at least 8 earth veins. "Don't block me, or don't blame me for being ruthless." Xian entered the city so brazenly. The experts of the 100 Refinement City looked at each other and finally rushed forward bravely. Guarding the 100 Refinement City was their duty. They could not let such a demon enter the city. Xian did not want to kill them all. He only took off all their universe rings and quickly escaped into the city. Chapter 478. Tang family. After inquiring about the location of the Jiang family, Xian quickly rushed over. The reason why he saved the siblings was actually a little selfish. He wanted to find an excuse for himself to kill his way to the Jiang family. There were 2 major forces in the 100 Refinement City. One was the City Lord's mansion, and the other was the Jiang family. Under normal circumstances, these 2 families would fight to the death because of benefits. However, the relationship between the 2 families was very harmonious. This was because the Jiang family and the City Lord's mansion were like the Yi family and the Lin family in Lianyun City. The ancestors of the 2 families were from the same family. Therefore, Xian understood that if he caused trouble in the Jiang family, the City Lord's mansion would definitely not stand by idly. At this moment, Xian had already arrived in front of the Jiang family's gate. "Who are you?" a guard of the Jiang family asked in surprise. Unexpectedly, Xian did not say a word and directly charged over. In the blink of an eye, the arms of the 2 guards were chopped off, and their interspatial rings were gone. At the same time, Xian's figure disappeared as well. Xian had already opened 8 earth veins and could sense the location of those soul essence realm experts. He first found trouble with those weaker soul essence realm experts. By the time the upper echelons of the Jiang family reacted, Yi Xian had already opened his 9th bloodline. How dare you behave atrociously in my Jiang family? Dang! A shout came from the sky. Yi Xian turned his head and saw an old man flying over. With the relationship between the Jiang family and the city lord's mansion, the Jiang family could naturally fly in the 100 Refinement City. The patriarch of the Jiang family. Yi Xian's eyes flashed. The reason why young Master Jiang was so arrogant and unreasonable was because he was spoiled by the patriarch of the Jiang family. Therefore, this old fellow was on Yi Xian's must-kill list. You dare to find trouble with me with just 12 earth veins? Dang! Yi Xian's killing intent was revealed. In just 3 rounds, he chopped off the head of the Jiang family's patriarch. As the head of the Jiang clan's patriarch was extremely wealthy. He directly allowed Yi Xian to open the 10th earth vein. After that, Yi Xian ran around the Jiang family and took away the universe rings of the remaining soul essence realm cultivators in the Jiang family. If there was anyone he didn't like, he would directly kill them. When Yi Xian left the Jiang clan, he had only opened 10 earth veins, but he was not far from opening the 11th. At the same time, when he entered the Jiang family, he only killed one person who hadn't reached the soul essence realm, which was young Master Jiang. It's your turn now. Yi Xian looked in one direction and smiled. In this world the strong were respected. Killing people to steal treasures could be seen everywhere. Yi Xian had robbed the Jiang family but had not killed many people, which was not bad. Very quickly, Yi Xian arrived in the air above the city lord's mansion. How dare you fly in the 100 Refinement City? Before Yi Xian stopped, a passing city lord mansion worshipper shouted. However, before he could finish his sentence, he felt a pain in his shoulder. He lowered his head and saw that his entire arm was gone. At this moment, Yi Xian had already charged into the city lord mansion. In less than 3 minutes, he had opened the 11th earth vein. The 100 Refinement City Lord only had 14 earth veins. To him, it was not much of a threat. The City Lord mansion was very efficient, much faster than the Jiang clan. Not long after Yi Xian opened the 11th earth vein, the 100 Refinement City Lord charged out. Bastard, die! The 100 Refinement City Lord charged out of nowhere and slashed down at Yi Xian with his sword. Swish! Yi Xian, who had just swallowed an universe ring, nimbly dodged the slash and instantly rushed over. So fast! The 100 Refinement City Lord's heart trembled. In the next moment, his arm disappeared. Ding! The host has opened the 12th earth vein. A notification sounded. Originally, Yi Xian did not want to kill anyone, but the 100 Refinement City Lord allowed the Jiang clan to do whatever they wanted. Moreover, if the 100 Refinement City Lord was still alive, he would definitely arrest Yi Xian, so he had to die. Die! Yi Xian slashed horizontally, and the 100 Refinement City Lord's head was thrown up. However, just as Yi Xian killed the 100 Refinement City Lord, another angry roar sounded. Bastard, you actually killed him? Yi Xian turned his head to look and discovered an old man that was charging towards him. This aura gave Yi Xian the feeling that he was much stronger than the 100 Refinement City Lord. What's going on? Could it be the 100 Refinement City Lord's father? But Lei Feng said that the 100 Refinement City Lord's father died long ago. Yi Xian's eyes widened. It seemed that Lei Feng's information was wrong, or perhaps some expert had come to the 100 Refinement City as a guest. Yi Xian estimated that this old man had opened at least 16 earth veins. However, after he exchanged blows with the old man, he realized that he was very wrong. The amount of heaven and earth essence energy that this old man could use was very terrifying, much more than the 100 Refinement City Lord. It was likely that the other party had already opened 17 or even 18 earth veins. Where did he come from? Yi Xian's face darkened. From the beginning until now, he had already exchanged 10 blows with this old man. In these 10 rounds, he was at a disadvantage. He could not be defeated. This made Yi Xian want to retreat. Retreat first. Yi Xian turned around and ran. Good boy. You actually dare to kill a disciple of the Supreme Purity Palace. I, Tang Pangyun, will definitely capture you and hand you over to the Supreme Purity Palace. The old man shouted loudly. He was different from Tang Tian's bodyguard from before. He immediately guessed that Yi Xian had killed a disciple of the Supreme Purity Palace and then cultivated the martial arts of the Supreme Purity Palace. However, when Yi Xian heard his words, his eyes lit up. Tang. His purpose in coming to Celestial Wolf Island this time was to find the Tang family, and this old man's surname was Tang, so he might be from that Tang family. However, it was better to escape first. What fast speed! You actually even learned the Supreme Purity demonic trampling steps. The old man saw through the movement technique Yi Xian used with a glance. He did not expect that such a thing would actually happen in 100 Refinement City. He originally came to 100 Refinement City to discuss some matters with the 100 Refinement City Lord. But now that the 100 Refinement City Lord was killed, what was there to discuss? However, if he could catch a person disguised as a disciple of the Supreme Purity Palace, it would be a great contribution. However, whether he could catch Yi Xian was still a problem. Yi Xian retreated as he fought, and soon, he flashed out of 100 Refinement City. As for the old man, he followed behind Yi Xian relentlessly. The two of them gradually left 100 Refinement City, one fleeing and one chasing. Damn it, this kid's speed is too fast, and his true chi seems to be inexhaustible. I might not be able to catch up to him. The old man was very helpless in his heart. After deliberating for a moment, he turned around. He wanted to go back and report the matter. Supreme Purity Palace was also an overlord force on Celestial Wolf Island. Someone actually used the flag of Supreme Purity Palace to slaughter the City Lord's mansion of 100 Refinement City. This was not a small crime. Not chasing anymore? Yi Xian turned his head and saw that the old man had already turned around and left. Immediately, he chased after him again. Chapter 479. Chapter 479. Chapter 479. Join hands. He actually followed me. Could it be that this brat wants to kill me? The old man reminded himself. He had to be careful. It was better to be safe than sorry. However, it didn't take long for someone to rush over. Yi Xian's figure trembled as he immediately dodged. Brother, don't be afraid. I'm just here to discuss something with you. The man with the broadsword said with a smile. Discuss? Yi Xian was somewhat shocked. He reckoned that this man was probably even stronger than the 100 Refining City Lord. What is it? Yi Xian asked curiously. Hee. The man grinned and said, I saw you fight with Tang Pangyun just now. Your strength is not bad. Why don't we join forces and kill him together? Yi Xian was slightly surprised. This person was actually here to join forces with him. However, he was still suspicious. Do you know who he is? That's right. I've been following him all the way. He's from the Tang family in the City Master's mansion of Jianghu City. As long as you cooperate with me, I don't want anything in his interspatial ring. I only want a piece of paper. The man nodded. A map. Yi Xian frowned. What kind of map is that? Little brother, don't ask so many questions. I'm sincerely here to cooperate with you. As long as you agree, I only want that map after everything is done. The man didn't reveal the secret. Sorry, I refuse, Yi Xian replied. This man wanted to work with him, but he only wanted a map. Obviously, that map was more important than the entire universe ring. It might be a treasure map or something like that. Little brother, if he returns to Golden Crow City, there will be no other way. The man reminded. Then do it yourself. When the man heard this, he hesitated for a moment before finally compromising. All right, I'll tell you. That map is the Tang family's new shipping route. As long as I have it, I can guard that place. Now Yi Xian finally understood what the map was. All right, deal. Yi Xian immediately agreed. It was just a map, which was of little use to him. He would rather have the interspatial ring. However, he was still on guard in his heart. After all, this man's background was unknown, so he had to be careful in case the other party launched a sneak attack. Good, straightforward, let's go. After the man finished speaking, he took the lead and rushed toward the old man. Yi Xian followed closely behind. Previously, he could not do anything to the old man, but now that the old man had consumed a lot of innate chi and he had one more helper, if nothing unexpected happened, the old man would definitely fall. The two quickly approached each other. The old man seemed to have sensed something, and when he turned around, his expression stiffened. Damn it, it's the people from the Black Tiger Mountain. They must have come for the transport map. The old man instantly reacted. His whereabouts this time had been concealed, But now that his whereabouts had been exposed, it could only mean one thing. There was a spy in the Tang family. However, this was a topic for another time. Right now, he had to deal with Yi Xian and Yi Xian. He turned around, and the 18 earth veins instantly expanded. They began to communicate with the Qi of heaven and earth, and directly attacked Yi Xian and Yi Xian. Yi Xian was not afraid of the old man before, and now that it was 2 against 1, his confidence was bursting. After easily dodging the sword Qi, he and the other man approached the old man. Prime Clarity Sword Technique. Yi Xian directly used his special skill. Prime Clarity Sword Technique? The man was slightly surprised. Wasn't the Tang family a subordinate of the Prime Clarity Palace? Why were they fighting with their own family members? In the next moment, he realized that Yi Xian must have cultivated the martial arts of the Prime Clarity Palace. The two men charged to the old man's left and right. In an instant, the old man felt an enormous pressure. However, he was still a high-ranking member of the Tang family. How could he be killed so easily? However, after a while, he cursed in his heart. He had forgotten that he was not in peak condition when he fought. If his innate qi was used up, he would be dead for sure. Go! The old man did not dare to fight anymore. He hurriedly rushed toward the Golden Crow City at full speed. You still want to leave now? Yi Xian's eyes widened, and his speed suddenly skyrocketed. His Prime Clarity demonic stomping steps had been cultivated to 80%, which was 20% higher than the old man's identity martial arts. Rip! Suddenly, a crisp sound rang out. The old man's thigh was grazed by Yi Xian's sword qi, and a large piece of flesh was cut off. Blood flowed out, and his speed immediately decreased. He was already no match for Yi Xian and Yi Xian. Now that he was injured, he did not have long to live. No, the new route of the family's transportation must not be leaked. The old man's face darkened. He took out a map from his interspatial ring, and then channeled his innate qi, preparing to shatter it into pieces. Oh no! The man was shocked and attacked with all his might. However, he was still one step too slow. By the time his sword qi cut through the old man's arm, the map had already been shattered into pieces. Rip! The old man's arm flew up. A figure quickly rushed over and caught the arm, then took off the interspatial ring. Ding! The host has opened the 13th ley vein. Ding! The host has opened the 14th ley vein. The two notifications rang out. Yi Xian's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The items in the old man's interspatial ring were extremely valuable. It had to be said that the old man was too confident in himself. He actually carried the items with him. Or perhaps, this was the only thing he carried when he went out. The Tang family was indeed rich. Die! After the breakthrough, Yi Xian's strength soared. He swung the Bahuang sword in his hand lightly, and the old man's head flew off. Die! This time, it was all thanks to this man. Otherwise, Yi Xian would not have been able to do anything to the old man. The man also rushed over. Looking at the map that had been reduced to dust, he sighed helplessly. You can't blame me for this. Yi Xian shrugged. Sigh, what a pity. The man shook his head and said, In that case, I'll take my leave. After saying that, he turned around and left. However, he had only taken 2 steps when he suddenly turned around and slashed at Yi Xian with his saber. I knew you were up to no good. Yi Xian had been on guard. When he saw the man suddenly attack, he immediately stepped back with the Shangqing's demonic stomping steps and dodged the saber. Then, he stomped his feet and rushed toward the man like a flash of light. Rip! The Bahuang sword accurately pierced the man's heart. Die! In the wild, one could not let their guard down. Even brothers could kill each other for some heaven and earth treasure. Yi Xian kicked the man's body again and sent it flying. Then, he put away the man's interspatial ring and weapon. So, you're a bandit. Yi Xian swallowed everything in the interspatial ring, then began to check the interspatial ring. Chapter 480. Sneaking into the Tang family, looking for a high sinecure? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. If this was the case, he could sneak into the Tang family and investigate the whereabouts of those divine core warriors from the heavenly water continent a few months ago. Yi Xian didn't know much about the Tang family. All he knew was that the Tang family had an ancestor who had opened 29 earth veins. Unlike the spirit realm, the essence realm didn't require a huge amount of natural treasures. A Essence Realm warrior might suddenly have an epiphany and open up a few earth veins, or even heavenly veins. Therefore, it was related to one's natural talent. Of course, with the help of precious natural treasures, even a little kid might be able to reach the Essence Realm. Without hesitation, Yi Xian started heading toward the Golden Crow City. As for Lu Xiaofeng and Lu Xiaowan, Yi Xian wasn't worried about them. After all, they had found a place to live in seclusion. The Golden Crow City was considered a big city on the Heavenly Wolf Island. It was second only to the Heavenly Wolf City. Right at this moment, Yi Xian had arrived at the Golden Crow City. After that, he asked around for the location of the Tang family, which was the mayor's mansion. As the mayor's mansion, the Tang family was a family that could control the entire Golden Crow City. Yi Xian had opened 14 earth veins, and his overall strength was not bad. Furthermore, he had a great natural talent, so it wouldn't be a problem for him to join the Tang family. "Young man, what are you doing here?" When Yi Xian arrived at the mayor's mansion, a man stopped him. It was a guard from the Tang family. "I want to join the Tang family." Yi Xian stated his intention without hesitation. "What's your cultivation level?" the guard asked. Yi Xian answered without thinking, "I've opened 14 earth veins." 14 earth veins. The guard was shocked. He never expected Yi Xian to be a genius. He had only opened one earth vein when he was almost 40 years old. "This way, please." The guard immediately smiled. Then he personally led Yi Xian into the mayor's mansion. After that, he brought Yi Xian in front of a middle-aged man. "You opened 14 earth veins and want to join my Tang clan?" The middle-aged man was somewhat surprised. A genius like Yi Xian definitely had some sort of background. He had no choice but to ask about this person joining the Tang family. "Where are you from?" the middle-aged man asked. Yi Xian understood that the middle-aged man in front of him must have opened at least 20 earth veins. His strength was extraordinary. "I'm from the Blood Cliff continent," Yi Xian replied. "Blood Cliff continent, which city?" the middle-aged man asked again. Before they arrived, Yi Xian had already prepared the information. He directly mentioned a coastal territory and its specific location. This was what he had seen in one of the Qiankuan rings he had obtained previously. Yi Xian's reaction dispelled most of the doubts in the middle-aged man's mind, but the latter continued to ask, "Why did you choose to join the Tang family?" "Because my surname is also Tang, Tang Hulu," Yi Xian replied. This name was randomly made up on the spot because he suddenly remembered that there was no such thing as Tonghulu in this world. He also sighed in his heart. Fortunately, he was resourceful and had strong adaptability. Otherwise, he would have made a mistake. "And very good. Show me a martial art," the middle-aged man said again. Yi Xian took out a high-grade heaven tool and directly pierced it into the sky. It was the 90% complete hidden dragon stab. The power is not bad. It should be around 90% complete, but the grade of the martial art is too low. The middle-aged man was very satisfied. He also felt that Yi Xian was able to mobilize the heaven and earth yuan qi. It was indeed 14 earth veins. Although the hidden dragon sword art and the prime clarity sword art were both high-grade heaven-tier martial arts, the gap between them was still very large. The middle-aged man was thinking that if Yi Xian learned a stronger martial art, he might be able to challenge those above his level. In short, Yi Xian was a good seedling. "Good. Tang Hulu, you have joined my Tang clan now. My name is Tang Yuan Hang, an elder of the Tang clan. You will work under me." After the middle-aged man finished speaking, he let the guard take Yi Xian to his residence. At the same time, he reminded Yi Xian where he could enter and where he could not. Just like that, Yi Xian stayed in the Tang clan. This Tang clan's strength was outstanding. He could not make a big fuss like the Jiang clan and the 100 Tempering Cities City Lord's office. Otherwise, he would probably be slapped to death. However, just as Yi Xian came out, he suddenly bumped into a girl. "Greetings, 7th young lady." The Tang clan guard greeted respectfully. Yi Xian glanced at him. F***CK. He almost vomited. This girl was fat, her face was full of pockmarks, and she had a mouthful of big yellow teeth. Her nostrils were even bigger than Yi Xian's thumb, and her eyes were almost as big as Yi Xian's pinky nail. She looked like a flower. "Greetings, 7th young lady." Yi Xian quickly shifted his gaze away from the Tang clan guard. After that, he followed the girl. The seventh young lady glanced at Yi Xian, then her eyes lit up. She stared at Yi Xian's back as he left. Then she entered Tang Yuanhang's courtyard. "Sixth uncle, this is what Dad asked me to give you." The seventh young lady handed over a piece of paper to him. Tang Yuanhang took the paper and gave it a look. He was shocked. "Why is there more? Didn't we only ask for 100 people last month?" "I don't know. This is a request from the Xianxia Palace. Perhaps those devils have become even stronger." The seventh young lady shook her head and said, "All right, I understand." Tang Yuanhang nodded his head helplessly. Last month, they had just handed over 200 divine court death row prisoners to the Xianxia Palace. And this month, they were asking for 400. The number had doubled. The divine core warriors the Tang clan had captured from the Heavenly Water Island were only a few hundred. Luckily, Tang Yuanhang had the foresight to ask his men to capture all the true spirit warriors and above from the Heavenly Water Island. Although these people might not be able to withstand being possessed by the devils, there were still some who could withstand it. At the same time, Tang Yuanhang was preparing to personally eliminate some bandits and other forces. Those bandits were at least at the strength realm, but this wasn't a long-term solution. Right at this moment, the seventh young lady asked again, "Sixth uncle, who was that guy just now?" Tang Yuanhang was startled for a moment. Then he immediately understood that the seventh young lady was talking about Yi Xian. He replied, "He's the Tang clan's new sinecure." "Why? Do you like him?" "Sixth uncle, you can ask him to come find me tonight." The seventh young lady suddenly smiled. "All right, I got it." Tang Yuanhang nodded his head. He understood what his niece meant. Although this niece of his was a little ugly, she had a pretty good talent. After that, the seventh young lady left. Right after Yi Xian had settled down, and while he was thinking about how to investigate this matter, someone knocked on his door. He opened the door, and saw a guard from the Tang clan. "Sinecure Tang, someone wants to see you, please follow me," the guard said. He didn't wait for Yi Xian to ask any questions. He just turned around and left. This confused Yi Xian. Could it be that the higher-ups of the Tang clan saw his talent and wanted to train him? Chapter 481. Fury. However, after walking for a while, Yi Xian felt that something was amiss. This seemed to be the place where the Tang family's daughter lived. The guard brought Yi Xian to a courtyard and said, "The person who wants to see you is inside." In addition, the sixth elder said that he would gather at the martial arts practice field tomorrow morning to exterminate the bandits in the Golden Crow Mountain Range. "All right, I understand." Yi Xian nodded. He did not expect to be assigned a task as soon as he entered. After that, the guard left. Yi Xian pushed open the door and walked in with some surprise. When he came to the courtyard, he saw that the door was half open. At the same time, a girl's voice came from inside. "Come in." F***CK. It's really a girl? Yi Xian did not associate it with the seventh young mistress that he saw just now. Because when he thought of it, his stomach would churn, so he had already deleted that memory. He tried to push open the door and enter, but there was no one inside. However, he sensed that there was someone behind the screen. He took a few steps forward and realized that something was wrong. There was poison in this room. Ding! The poison is immune to the host. After hearing the notification, Yi Xian's eyes suddenly widened. He also realized that this was a poison that could make a soul-refining realm martial artist sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. At this moment, the person behind the screen walked out. Yi Xian's eyes were almost blinded. Wasn't this the seventh young mistress, Ruhua? Furthermore, the other party had exposed both of his shoulders. In an instant, Yi Xian understood that he had been exposed. He immediately slapped Ruhua across the air. Bang! Although the seventh young mistress was also in the soul-refining realm, her strength was much weaker than Yi Xian. After Yi Xian sent her flying, he immediately took off her universe ring and quickly rushed out of the room. He could not stay in the Tang family any longer. Yi Xian wanted to cry but had no tears. He originally planned to sneak into the Tang family, but he did not expect that in less than an hour, he would betray the Tang family. When he hurriedly left the courtyard, he heard Ruhua's angry roar. Now, the entire Tang family was alarmed. Damn it, retreat! Yi Xian cursed and quickly left the Tang family. Fortunately, he had taken the 7th Mrs. Cosmos ring and successfully opened the 15th Earth vein. Otherwise, his operation would have been in vain. All in all, it wasn't a loss. Everything happened so suddenly that before the Tang family could react, Yi Xian had already left. There was nothing the Tang family could do. At this time, in the sky outside Golden Crow City. Damn you, Tang Yuanhang, I'll definitely kill you. Yi Xian flew into a rage. If it weren't for the sacred tree of life bloodline, his first time would have most likely been lost here. If that was really the case, then he might as well commit suicide. Although he had caused such a ruckus, he had also gained some benefits. Moreover, he knew that Tang Yuanhang was going to organize a group of people to hunt bandits and other bandits tomorrow. Therefore, Yi Xian waited outside the city for a while, waiting for them to come out. Yi Xian also asked the Tang family guard about Tang Yuanhang's cultivation base. Tang Yuanhang was the sixth elder of the Tang family and had opened 24 earth veins. He was very powerful. It was precisely because of this that Yi Xian chose to directly leave the Tang clan and not cause a ruckus. The difference between 24 earth veins and 15 earth veins was huge. If Yi Xian fought with Tang Yuanhang, he would probably be sent flying like a flower. I only slapped the seventh miss and took her Cosmos ring. The Tang family shouldn't make any big moves, so Tang Yuanhang's itinerary tomorrow shouldn't change. Yi Xian thought to himself and left immediately. His goal this time was to eliminate these bandits in front of Tang Yuanhang, then find trouble with Tang Yuanhang. The Golden Crow Mountain Range was just outside Golden Crow City. It led to the Celestial Wolf City, so there were many bandits and bandits here. It was already night. Yi Xian took advantage of the night to search the mountain range. He found a few bandits' nests. These bandits were not strong, at most with 20 dragon power, but there were many of them. Yi Xian cleaned up these bandits' nests overnight, gradually increasing his strength. These bandits actually had backers, which was why they weren't annihilated. However, Yi Xian didn't care who their backers were. By daybreak, most of the bandits' nests in the Golden Crow Mountain Range had been wiped out by Yi Xian. Only a few hidden nests were spared. Even Tang Yuanhang couldn't do anything about it, but Yi Xian did it with the bloodline of the sacred tree of life. After the massacre, Yi Xian opened 3 earth veins, increasing the number of earth veins he had from 15 to 18. At this time, he was guarding the entrance of the Golden Crow Mountain Range, waiting for Tang Yuanhang's arrival. Sure enough, Yi Xian finally found the Tang family's team at noon. There were only 10 people in this team, led by the 6th elder of the Tang family, Tang Yuanhang. Last night, the Tang family had turned the entire Golden Crow City upside down, but didn't find Yi Xian. They would never have thought that Yi Xian would sweep through most of the Golden Crow Mountain Range and then wait for them at the entrance. When the Tang family's team was about to enter the Golden Crow Mountain Range, Yi Xian descended from the sky and landed in front of them. Tang Yuanhang, you're finally here. Yi Xian looked at the Tang family's team with a cold expression. It's you? Tang Yuanhang, who was still wondering who dared to intercept the Tang family's team, was also astonished when he saw Yi Xian. Tang Yuanhang, I wanted to join the Tang family, but you sent me out. Today, none of you will leave. Yi Xian said loudly. Sent. You coveted my niece's interspatial ring and injured her. Li Zheng, take him down. Tang Yuanhang shouted angrily. The 7th young mistress had distorted the truth yesterday, so Tang Yuanhang didn't know the truth. However, Yi Xian didn't bother to explain. He was determined to kill Tang Yuanhang anyway. Yi Xian's lips curled up as he watched the Tang family's consecrator, Li Zhang, dashing toward him. The Bahuang sword was already in his hand. Li Zhang had only opened 18 earth veins, the same as Yi Xian. With such strength, he could only be killed in an instant. Rip. Sure enough, Li Zheng's head was thrown up in less than a second. Instant kill. Yi Xian took off his interspatial ring and shouted, Who else? How is this possible? Tang Yuanhang was very surprised. He had personally witnessed Yi Xian's strength, but Yi Xian was able to kill an expert who had opened 18 earth veins in just one day. How was this possible? It seems that this brat was hiding his strength before. Tang Yuanhang thought to himself. At this moment, he hadn't realized that Yi Xian was using the martial arts of Xianxia Palace. Sun Xiaoyu. Tang Yuanhang shouted. Chapter 482. Revenge. Tang Yuanhang had already opened 24 veins. Faced with such a situation, he couldn't lower himself to personally attack Yi Xian. Worshippers, to put it nicely, were worshippers. To put it bluntly, they were hired thugs. Sun Xiaoyu walked out and didn't waste any words, directly charging over. However, what no one expected was that Sun Xiaoyu, who had opened 20 veins, was actually instantly killed by Yi Xian. Just how many veins had Yi Xian opened? Prime Clarity Sword Arts. As Sun Xiaoyu's head flew, someone suddenly cried out in surprise. Everyone, including Tang Yuanhang, was stunned. Only now did they realize that Yi Xian had used the martial arts of Prime Clarity Palace. Yi Xian was a disciple of Prime Clarity Palace? No, definitely not. Everyone reacted. Yi Xian had secretly learned Prime Clarity Palace's martial arts. What a guy! It just so happens that an emissary from Prime Clarity Palace is coming today. I'll capture you and bring you to him. Tang Yuanhang narrowed his eyes, suddenly feeling uneasy. He shouted, "Attack together!" Although it was unfair to bully him with numbers, Tang Yuanhang still chose to be more conservative in order to prevent accidents. In an instant, the 8 people, including Tang Yuanhang, directly attacked. 1 against 8? Fine. I'll let you see who you've offended. Yi Xian's arrogance surged. The scene from yesterday was still vivid in his mind. This was the first time in his life that he was trembling with anger. Kill! Yi Xian charged forward. 1 against 8 was actually easier than 1 against Tang Yuanhang, because the other 7 were much slower than Yi Xian. With 90% mastery of the Prime Clarity demonic stomping steps, Yi Xian's speed was no slower than Tang Yuanhang's. Capture him alive! At this moment, Tang Yuanhang shouted. However, this indirectly reduced the strength of his side, greatly reducing the pressure on Yi Xian. Prime Clear Sword Art. Yi Xian used his strongest swordsmanship. Although this swordsmanship was specifically used to deal with evil creatures, with 90% proficiency, it was naturally Yi Xian's strongest attack. After the two sides came into contact, Yi Xian tried his best to avoid Tang Yuanhang and find trouble with others. Tang Yuanhang hadn't expected Yi Xian to be so powerful. He was actually able to fight against 8 people who were several levels higher than him. He rejoiced in his heart that he hadn't sent anyone to continue the fight. Otherwise, they would have been sending themselves to their deaths. Besieged by 8 people, Yi Xian was forced to retreat again and again, but he did not care. Come out! Yi Xian shouted, shocking everyone. Could it be that there was an ambush here? The next moment, he saw a little bird appear behind Yi Xian. Swish! Wei Zhentian transformed into a thumb-sized bird with a sharp beak and quickly flew out. Today, it had devoured a large amount of ores and weapons, and had long grown to the Essence Soul realm. At this moment, it could even kill a martial artist who had opened up 18 earth veins. Wei Zhentian transformed into a bird one moment, and then into a humanoid puppet the next. Furthermore, it was difficult to kill, causing a lot of trouble for Tang Yuanhang and the others. At the same time, it also shared a lot of pressure with Yi Xian. What the hell is this thing? Why haven't I heard of it before? Tang Yuanhang was very surprised. He couldn't be blamed for this. After all, strange beasts like rock spirits were extremely rare. Most people wouldn't be able to recognize them. After the two sides fought for half a minute, there were finally casualties. Without a doubt, the ones who died were definitely from Tang Yuanhang's side. Yi Xian endured the wound on his shoulder and killed one person, devouring his universe ring. Although one person died, Yi Xian was also injured. This was neither a win nor a loss for Tang Yuanhang's side. However, Yi Xian's wound healed after a second. At this moment, everyone's expression changed. Yi Xian was fighting with them and didn't have time to heal. However, they watched as Yi Xian's wound healed as if nothing had happened. Haha, I said before that all of you will die here today. Yi Xian laughed loudly. In the next moment, another person died. A martial artist who had only opened up 16 earth veins was killed by Wei Zhentian's bird transformation. Out of the 8, only 6 were left. Yi Xian wasn't afraid of the 8 at first. Now that he had Wei Zhentian's help and devoured an universe ring, it was time for him to explode. Beast King Rampage. Yi Xian finally used a trump card that wasn't a trump card anymore. Although it wouldn't increase his strength by much, it was enough for him to get rid of the remaining 6 in this situation. Swish! Another person's head flew up. Out of the 6, only 5 were left. Tang Yuanhang finally realized that Yi Xian was no match for him. He hurriedly shouted, "Retreat! It's too late to leave now." Yi Xian devoured 2 universe rings and finally opened his 19th earth vein. He could use more chi of heaven and earth, which meant that he was faster. Swish! 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 4 crisp sounds were heard. Except for Tang Yuanhang, everyone was dead. Yi Xian chased after Tang Yuanhang with his extraordinary speed. The latter's chi was quickly depleted. Tang Yuanhang retreated while blocking Yi Xian's attacks. However, at this moment, bang! Tang Yuanhang's back suddenly bumped into something hard. He turned around and found that he had bumped into a green wall. What? Tang Yuanhang's eyes widened. How could there be such a hard wall in the wilderness? In the next moment, he realized that it was the transformation of Yi Xian's strange thing. But the collision directly led to his death. Swish! A simple and unadorned long sword pierced through his chest, piercing through his heart. This long sword was Yi Xian's Bahuang sword. Tang Yuanhang's eyes were wide open. He stared at the young man who was only half a meter away from him. He opened his mouth but no sound came out. Swoosh! Yi Xian quickly pulled out the Bahuang sword. Ding! Host has opened the 20th earth vein. After Yi Xian devoured Tang Yuanhang's storage ring, the notification sounded out once again. Now that he had avenged his personal grudge, the next step was to deal with the Tang family. He threw all the ores and high-ranked heavenly weapons to Wei Zhentian. After Wei Zhentian successfully absorbed them, he started heading toward Golden Crow City. It had been a few months since those divine core warriors were sent to Heavenly Wolf Island. The Tang family's fleet had been drifting in the ocean for a few months before they accidentally found Heavenly Water Island. Now that they had a route, it wouldn't take them more than a few months to return to Heavenly Wolf Island. Therefore, Yi Xian guessed that all these divine core warriors had been handed over to the Tang family. As for who the Tang family's leader was, whether it was the Heavenly Wolf Lord or the Supreme Pure Palace, he would have to find out. Without wasting any time, Yi Xian immediately rushed into Golden Crow City. After that, he started slaughtering his way into the mayor's mansion. Chapter 483. Be held hostage again. The upper echelons of the Tang family reacted quickly. They immediately mobilized many experts with more than 20 dragons to besiege Yi Xian, but they were all killed by Yi Xian. Yi Xian also broke through to 22 earth veins because of this. Brat, don't be so arrogant. A roar resounded in the sky as a 100-year-old old man swooped down. This scene was somewhat familiar to Yi Xian, but this time, his opponent was not so easy to deal with. Good timing. As long as I kill you, my 23rd earth vein should be opened. Yi Xian roared in his heart as he charged forward. 22 earth veins and 29 earth veins were 7 different, but Yi Xian did not care at all. As long as his opponent could not defeat him immediately, he could exhaust him to death. Prime Clarity Sword Art? The 100-year-old ancestor of the Tang family also recognized it at a glance. It's good that you know. Yi Xian coldly snorted. This old man gave him a huge pressure. This time, he might be able to use this opportunity to raise his Prime Clarity Sword Art to full mastery. The two fought for 30 rounds and were evenly matched. Although Yi Xian kept retreating, the old man clearly could not do anything to him. However, at this moment, Brat, you dare to disguise yourself as a disciple of my Prime Clarity Palace? You're courting death. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice rang out. Immediately after, Yi Xian felt a flash in front of his eyes. A person flashed in front of him and punched his chest. Crack! The sound of his sternum breaking resounded. Yi Xian, who was sent flying, focused his eyes and found that it was a middle-aged man wearing Prime Clarity Palace robes. This strength had opened at least 30 earth veins. This person has the strength to kill me in a second. Yi Xian's heart trembled. If this middle-aged man wanted to kill him just now, he would probably be dead already. He did not understand why the other party did not kill him. Bang! Yi Xian's body slammed into a wall. In the next moment, his legs kicked off. Run! You want to leave? The middle-aged man's eyes widened. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Yi Xian in an instant. In an instant, Yi Xian was captured by the middle-aged man. This was the first time in his life that Yi Xian felt so powerless. Damn it! Yi Xian clenched his teeth. At this moment, he was already mentally prepared. If this middle-aged man wanted to kill him, he would give it his all and forcibly fuse with the divine bloodline. Although there was a high probability that he would die, this was his last resort. However, the middle-aged man did not seem to intend to kill him. Elder Li, this brat killed many of our Tang family's people. The old man also came over and said fiercely, I understand, and I deeply regret this matter. Moreover, this brat also killed my Xianxia Palace's disciple and stole my Xianxia Palace's martial arts. Clan Master Tang, please rest assured, he won't live for long. Elder Li nodded. In the next moment, Tang family head understood what Elder Li wanted to do with Xian. He immediately agreed, all right, let this brat enter the demon's den and enjoy the feeling of being possessed by a demon. Tang family head, in that case, I won't stay any longer. Farewell. Elder Li grabbed Xian and flew into the air. He had already finished his business, so naturally, he was going to leave. However, Xian felt as if 10,000 grass mud horses were galloping through his heart. Damn it, Elder Li wants to throw me into the demon's den and make me a vessel for the demon, Xian cursed inwardly. However, he could only let Elder Li grab him and take him away. Apart from forcibly fusing with the divine bloodline, he had no other choice. Should I fuse with it or not? Xian hesitated in his heart. In the end, he gave up on the idea because forcibly fusing with the divine bloodline was too dangerous. After all, he was only in the soul essence realm and had only opened 22 earth veins. He estimated that his success rate of fusing with the divine bloodline was less than 1%. As such, he could only obediently be carried by Elder Li and fly towards Xianxia Palace. Brat, you don't want to resist at all? Elder Li couldn't help but ask on the way. Is there any use in resisting? Xian asked in return. Indeed, you've only opened 22 earth veins, but I've already opened 34. The difference is huge, so it's useless no matter how you resist. I'm sure you've heard about my Xianxia Palace. There's a group of demons suppressed under my Xianxia Palace. This time I'm going to send you in, Elder Li said. You want to say that since I'm going to die anyway, why don't I help you kill some demons? Xian asked again. That's right. If it wasn't for the fact that I think you still have some value, I'm afraid you would have died in the Tang family. Elder Li nodded his head and said, you're at the soul essence realm, and with your physique, you might be able to be possessed by a demon general. This is much more useful than 10,000 divine core prisoners. Xian remained silent. Just like that, Elder Li captured Xian. After traveling for 2 days, they finally arrived at Xianxia Palace on Heavenly Wolf Island. What an eerie aura! When Xian stepped into Xianxia Palace's territory, he immediately sensed an aura of death that was much stronger than the one he sensed in the ghost tomb. Obviously, this aura came from the Devil Cave. Elder Li, this is? When a Xianxia Palace elder saw him, he immediately walked over and greeted him. He disguised himself as a disciple of Xianxia Palace and secretly learned our martial arts. I've captured him and am going to throw him into the Devil Cave. Elder Li replied. Good, since he knows our Xianxia Palace's martial arts, he'll be much more useful than the others in the Devil Cave. The elder nodded his head. Has the main sex elite team arrived yet? Elder Li asked again. Not yet. It'll probably take some time. Good. Then I'll throw this brat into the Devil Cave first. Elder Li nodded slightly. Then, he grabbed Xian and flew toward the back mountain of Xianxia Palace. Xian was carried like a little chick. The closer they got to the back mountain of Xianxia Palace, the stronger the aura that made ordinary people feel uncomfortable. At the same time, Xian also sensed several powerful auras. The entrance to the Devil Cave should be in the back mountain of Xianxia Palace. These auras should be the masters of Xianxia Palace guarding the place to prevent possessed demons from coming out. Elder Li brought Xian to the back mountain of Xianxia Palace and landed in the middle of a group of people. Elder Li, this is? A white-haired old man asked in surprise. Sect Master, he killed a disciple of Xianxia Palace and secretly learned our sect's martial arts, so I want to throw him into the Devil Cave, Elder Li replied. I see. Then just throw him in. The white-haired old man nodded slightly and had no objection. Elder Li then carried Xian to the entrance of a dark cave. He took out a yellow talisman and said, This is the Xianxia talisman. Carry it with you and it will prove that you haven't been possessed by demons. I'll give you a month. If you're still alive after a month, I'll let you go. Hearing this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. It seemed that he still had a way out. Chapter 484. Entering the Devil's Den. The demonic army hasn't started to attack the seal yet. Hurry up and go in. Elderly let go of Yi Xian's hands. Yi Xian paused for a moment, then walked straight into the Devil's Den. There was an array at the entrance of the Devil's Den that specifically restricted evil creatures. Since he had a body of flesh and blood, he could enter and leave freely. He wore the Shangqing talisman and took out the Bahuang sword. At the same time he said to himself, Shangqing Palace, just you wait. If I, Yi Xian, don't die, I'll make you pay. Yi Xian didn't know how dangerous the Devil's Den was, but he estimated that the sect master had opened up 40 earth veins. If an expert with 40 earth veins didn't dare to go in and exterminate the demonic creatures, then there must be something in the Devil's Den that he was afraid of. Therefore, Yi Xian didn't dare to relax. He followed the Devil's Den's passageway all the way down. Along the way, he saw many corpses, almost all of which belonged to humans. These people all died tragically. After a while, he arrived at a dark place. It was so dark that he couldn't see his own fingers. Terrifying screams echoed around him. This Devil's Den is under the Heavenly Wolf Island. I wonder which expert suppressed it here. Yi Xian was a little surprised. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a black figure suddenly flew towards him. Although it was dark here, Yi Xian still had the shadow leopard bloodline. He could see clearly within 2,000 meters. This black figure was the so-called demonic creature. To be more precise, it was a demonic soldier. This demonic soldier was like the vengeful spirits. Its body was translucent, but it didn't have a lower body. It danced in the air. Its 2 black claws were extremely sharp and could easily tear a martial artist below the heavenly dragon power in half. However, demonic soldiers would usually possess humans when they saw them. If they succeeded, they would be able to control the human's body. A mere demonic soldier dares to find trouble with me? Die! Yi Xian directly slashed at the demonic soldier. The Shangqing sword technique had an effect on demonic creatures. Even if Yi Xian was holding a tree branch, he could still kill the demonic soldier instantly. Puh! The sword chi swept past the demonic soldier's body and instantly shattered it. Then, the demonic chi began to condense and turned into a black pearl. After a demonic creature dies, it will turn into a demonic orb. If it is not destroyed in time, these demonic creatures will be reborn. Yi Xian thought to himself. He was not completely clueless about this demon. Immediately, he shot forward and picked up the demonic orb. Since he had already been kicked into the demon's den, he might as well kill as many as he could. After all, the demonic orb was easy to destroy. But in the next moment, he suddenly thought of something. Since the devouring system could devour everything, the demonic orb should be able to do the same, right? Ding! Devouring successful. When he heard the notification in his mind, Yi Xian's eyes widened. He was actually able to devour. Furthermore, his true energy had also increased. Ha ha ha! Yi Xian could not help but laugh at the sky. He was really lucky. He thought he had fallen into a trap, but he did not expect it to be a golden trap. This is really a treasure trove for leveling up. I've struck it rich. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes as he immediately charged forward. It had to be said that this was a blessing in disguise. Of course, he could not be so confident. After all, if he accidentally encountered a powerful demon like a demon general, he would be in for a tragedy. With the Bahuang sword, prime clarity sword technique, and the sword sage bloodline, any attack from Yi Xian was comparable to an expert who had opened 30 earth veins. Along the way, he killed all the demon soldiers he encountered with a single slash of his sword. His realm also increased bit by bit. These demon soldiers had varying levels of strength. The weaker ones were comparable to the aura realm, while the stronger ones were comparable to the level 10 aura energy realm. As for those demons that were comparable to the spirit essence realm, they were called demon generals. Yi Xian had been in the demon's den for 4 hours and killed thousands of demons. However, he had not encountered a single demon general. Perhaps it was because he had not yet entered the demon's den. The demon's den was extremely dangerous, so Yi Xian did not dare to enter recklessly. He only paced back and forth at the entrance, increasing his realm first. At this moment, he had already opened his 23rd earth vein and was about to open his 24th. In 4 hours, Xian had increased his realm by almost 2 levels. This demon's den was indeed a treasure trove for him. However, at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly approached Xian. What a powerful aura! It should be a demon general this time, and it shouldn't be weak. Xian thought to himself. Ta 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 ta. Soon, the sound of hurried footsteps was heard. Footsteps, a human? Xian was a little surprised. He raised his hand and released a few rays of sword qi to illuminate the front. With the help of the light, Xian saw the face of the approaching person. It was really a human. A human. The approaching person was a man with a scar on his face. When he saw Xian, he also revealed a strange expression. Although he had encountered a human, Xian would not let his guard down because this person might be possessed by a demon. You've been possessed by a demon, haven't you? Xian asked coldly. Little brother, how can you say that? Have you ever seen someone who could still speak after being possessed by a demon? The scarred man asked in horror. Hee, I just killed one. Xian sneered. The scarred man's face stiffened. He raised his hand and slashed at Xian. Sure enough, he had been possessed by a demon. Boom! Xian easily defeated the sword qi and slashed it back. This scarred man should have been like him, caught and brought here to destroy the demons, but unexpectedly, he was possessed by the demons. After being possessed by a demon, the Xianxia Palace's Xianxia sword technique was not very useful. However, this scarred man had only opened a dozen or so earth veins. He was no threat to Xian at all. Swish! The sword qi swept past the scarred man's throat and cut off his head. However, in the next moment, a demon general larger than a demon soldier rushed towards Xian. However, this demon general was not very strong and was killed by Xian in one strike. Xian walked over and picked up the demon general's demon orb and the scarred man's interspatial ring. Ding! Host has opened the 24th earth vein. Now he had opened a third of the earth veins. After killing this demon general, Xian attacked again. If someone tried to chase him away now, he would definitely not leave. He was also very helpless. If he had known earlier, he would have volunteered to enter the demon cave. Time passed little by little. With the sacred tree of life's extraordinary recovery speed, Xian continued his slaughter. In 3 days, he had killed more than 10,000 demon soldiers and several hundred demon generals. His cultivation base had also broken through from 24 earth veins to 28 earth veins. At this moment, if he were to face Elderly again, he would most likely be able to kill him. Chapter 485. Breaking through the seal. I've only been here for 3 days, but I've already broken through my 28th earth vein. If I'm given a month, I should be able to break through to the 40th earth vein. Xian was very confident in himself. At the same time, he finally understood why the Supreme Pure Palace was so afraid of this devil cave. All the devil soldiers and devil generals he killed were probably just small fries in this devil cave. He estimated that there were more than 1 million devil soldiers in this devil cave. Even if the Supreme Pure Palace sent 10,000 divine core warriors to this place every month, it would still take them at least 10 years. Putting aside the devil generals, if 1 million devil soldiers with strength comparable to the strength and spirit realm were to rush out, the entire Heavenly Wolf Island would be destroyed. While Xian was searching for more devil soldiers and devil generals, he suddenly heard a series of footsteps. There are people here, and there are quite a few of them. Xian furrowed his brows. During the past 3 days, he had seen many humans possessed by devil generals. At the same time, he also noticed that the humans possessed by devil soldiers were very stupid, and they couldn't even speak. However, the humans possessed by devil generals could, and they could even lie to Xian. Now, Xian wasn't only hearing footsteps, he could also hear the discussions between the humans. Senior disciple, if these devils break through the seal, the entire Heavenly Wolf Island will be destroyed. Why did the main sect only send us here? Nonsense, if those mighty warriors from the main sect are here, how are we going to train? But besides the devil soldiers and devil generals, there are also devil commanders, devil kings, and that devil lord. If that devil lord wakes up, won't we? Don't jinx it, the sect chief said. The devil lord is sleeping, and there are only a few devil kings. Don't be afraid. Hearing these words, Xian finally understood. This team wasn't possessed by a devil general. They were a team sent here by the Supreme Pure Palace to clean up the devils. Furthermore, They should be elites from the Supreme Pure Palace in the Jianghu region. Coincidentally, this team of 10 was rushing towards Xian's direction. Who are you? The leading disciple from the Supreme Pure Palace shouted out coldly. A passerby. Xian, who was thousands of meters away, replied coldly. The leader of the disciples frowned. He found Xian's voice very unfamiliar and immediately said, "It's someone possessed by a demon general. Kill him." In an instant, the 10 of them charged towards Xian. Among the 10 of them, other than the young man who had opened 30 earth veins, the other 9 were between 25 and 29 and were all very strong. As expected of a disciple of Tianjue's Shangqing Palace, Xian sighed inwardly. He suddenly recalled the few people he encountered in the ghost tomb territory. Those people had just stepped into the soul essence realm not long ago, so they should be the weakest outer sect disciples. Although they had a common enemy, Xian was no pushover. He immediately charged over. He could choose not to take these people's lives, but he could not refuse to take the interspatial ring. In the past 3 days, apart from opening those meridians, Xian had also improved a lot in terms of martial arts. His supreme pure sword technique had been improved to 100%, and its power had doubled. It was extremely easy to deal with this group of Supreme Pure Palace disciples. In less than half a minute, Xian had cut off all the disciples' wrists. As a result, Xian had opened 2 meridians, reaching 26. Who are you? The leading young man was shocked because he saw Xian only cut off their wrists, but not their lives. Moreover, he used the Supreme Pure Palace's martial arts. Obviously, he was not a human being possessed by a demon. Xian was too lazy to answer this question. He directly threw an interspatial ring and said, "There are healing pills inside." Then, he directly left. These people were all here to kill demons, so he did not need to kill them all. After all, these people could contribute to the residents of Celestial Wolf Island. He found some demon soldiers and demon generals to kill in the surroundings. Not long after, he coincidentally encountered that team again. But this time, the team had an opponent. A demon commander? Xian frowned. The leading young man had opened 30 meridians, and the other 9 were not weak either. But now, they were all killed by a demon. Only 4 of them were left. It was obvious that their opponent was a demon commander, which was stronger than a demon general. Since he had seen it, Xian could not just stand by and watch. But when he approached, the leading young man had already been possessed by the demon commander. In an instant, the leading young man's aura skyrocketed, and his cultivation level increased by several levels. The strength of a person possessed by a demon could either remain the same or increase. This demon commander's strength was not weak to begin with. After possessing the young man's body, the young man's strength skyrocketed. Not only that, but he could also use martial arts. At this moment, the demon commander had already noticed Xian and immediately charged at Xian. "I recognize you. You're the one who cut off my wrists. I want revenge." The young man's voice fell into Xian's ears. Humans possessed by demon generals could speak, so it was not strange that the young man could speak as well. "Humph. You think you can take revenge like this?" Xian snorted coldly. Although the Prime Clarity sword arts did not have an amplification effect on humans possessed by demons, Xian's current cultivation level was enough to kill the young man. In less than 5 rounds, the young man's throat was cut by Xian, and blood spurted out. At the same time, the demon commander that possessed the young man also broke free and charged at Xian. Prime Clarity Demon Slaying Slash. Xian slashed out, and the slash sank into the demon commander's body. But it was not enough to kill it. "You have tenacious vitality." Dang. He added another slash, and the demon commander was killed. Then, it condensed into a demon orb. Xian walked over and swallowed the demon orb. Not bad. It's at least comparable to 100 demon generals. Xian was very satisfied. But at this moment, rumble. Suddenly, a series of loud sounds rang out in the sky. Xian was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted. This should be the sound of the demon army breaking the seal again. Don't break it. I still need to level up. Xian thought to himself. Fortunately, the demon army did not succeed in breaking the seal this time. Xian had time to level up again. He spent the rest of the time in the Devil's Den, and eventually, He unlocked the 30th Earth Vein. However, as his cultivation level increased, so did his experience. At this moment, he was no longer satisfied with the experience of the demon soldiers and demon generals. He decided to go deeper. But just as he decided to go deeper, the ground suddenly began to tremble. Yi Xian raised his head and frowned. What's going on? Could it be that the demon army is breaking the seal again? He first flew into the air and temporarily retreated. Rumble. Chapter 486. Near being possessed, are they all the people who were sent in previously and possessed by demons? Yi Xian thought to himself. Now, these demon soldiers and demon generals were no longer worthy of his attention. He would rather kill a demon marshal than 10,000 of them. However, with so many small fries attacking the seal, there would definitely be a demon marshal leading them. Thus, Yi Xian watched from the sky. Sure enough, after a short while, he felt two powerful auras. They're charging at me. Kill. Yi Xian no longer hid and directly dove down. This was his first time encountering two demon marshals at the same time. However, with his realm, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with them. In an instant, the demon soldiers and demon generals below were swept away by him. Then, the two demon marshals appeared. Have they all been possessed? How pitiful! Yi Xian felt a little helpless. He glanced around in the darkness. As expected, these possessed humans were very young disciples sent in by the Xianxia palace. These two demon marshals didn't waste any time and directly charged at Yi Xian. Yi Xian had already opened 30 earth veins and his Xianxia sword arts had reached 100% mastery. Killing these two was extremely easy. In less than 10 seconds, these two demon marshals were separated from the main body because they were killed by Yi Xian. However, it took him less than 3 seconds to deal with these two demon marshals. Ding! Host has opened the 31st Earth Vein. At the mention of the notification, Yi Xian helplessly shook his head. He didn't know when he would encounter a demon king. However, the large group of demon soldiers and demon generals below couldn't be wasted. Yi Xian immediately slashed forward with a Xianxia demon slaying slash, reaping hundreds of demon soldiers in one strike. In a short while, this demon army was completely eradicated by Yi Xian. Before the demon soldiers and demon generals possessed a body, their intelligence was very low. They were like wild beasts that only had a beastly nature. When they saw a living person, they would charge over. Even if Yi Xian was alone, they would still madly charge over until the human died or was possessed. Yi Xian estimated that there were around 30,000 of them, but that was not enough for him to open the 32nd ley line. He had wiped out an entire magical creature army, which should have greatly reduced the pressure on the people outside. However, just as he was about to leave, hoo! Suddenly, a sharp gust of wind blew over. Yi Xian froze as he felt an extremely powerful aura. General Demon? No, this aura had already surpassed the Demon Commander. Demon King! Finally, the main character has arrived. Let me see the strength of this Demon King. Yi Xian held the Bahuang sword and quietly stood in place. It didn't take long for a black figure to arrive a kilometer in front of him. Hoo! The Demon King's appearance was not much different from other demons, except that it had a few horns. However, its aura was much stronger than the infernal soldiers and infernal generals. You want to possess my body, right? Come at me if you have the ability, Yi Xian said to the Demon King. Hoo! As soon as Yi Xian finished speaking, the Demon King directly pounced at him. Before possessing the body, demons were actually easier to deal with. Of course, this was for Yi Xian who had learned the Prime Clarity sword art. Prime Clarity Demon Slaying Slash. Yi Xian directly slashed at the Demon King several times. However, this Demon King's speed was faster than Yi Xian's full speed, so it wasn't that easy to deal with. Shill! Sword lights constantly broke through the darkness. After more than 10 attacks, Yi Xian couldn't hurt the Demon King at all. This made Yi Xian have to be cautious. As expected, you have some skills. This is going to be troublesome. Yi Xian's expression darkened. He didn't expect this Demon King to be faster than him. If this was the case, it would be difficult for him to escape. However, his chances of winning were still relatively high. Prime Clarity Demon Stomping Steps. Demon Breaking Pillar. Yi Xian suddenly stomped on the ground. Immediately, a holy pillar of light rose from under his feet. Then, he quickly retreated. The Demon King flew in front of Xian and extended his claws to scoop it up. When it touched the pillar of light, a sizzling sound was emitted, and black smoke was emitted from the black claw. This was one of the moves of the Prime Clarity Demon Stomping Steps. It could create a pillar of light. If any evil creature entered, it would be refined into ashes. When the Demon King saw that one of its claws was burned, it was immediately enraged. It circled around the demon-breaking pillar to find trouble with Xian. However, Xian took one step at a time and trapped the Demon King in more than 10 demon-breaking pillars. Humph! It's not human after all. It's easier to deal with than a human. Xian sneered in his heart. He launched an attack on the Demon King trapped in the middle of the demon-breaking pillars. These demon-breaking pillars had a time limit. Moreover, they were only a few dozen meters tall. If the Demon King wanted to escape, it would be relatively easy. Xian hurriedly flew into the air and attacked the Demon King from above. The Demon King had already risen into the air to avoid Xian's sword energy. However, at this moment, whoosh! Suddenly, the Demon King's speed increased sharply. It exceeded Xian's expectations. What? It's hiding its strength? Xian's eyes widened as he watched the Demon King get closer and closer to him. His consciousness reacted, but his body didn't. The Demon King's sudden burst of speed was at least 30% faster than before. Xian couldn't catch up to it from the start. Now that its speed had increased by 30%, the battle situation changed instantly. Whoosh whoosh. The Demon King's flying sound was very loud. At this moment, it was already in front of Xian. Damn it! Xian cursed and threw out a sword energy. However, the Demon King easily dodged it. The Demon King's remaining arm reached out and touched Xian's chest. Just as it was about to possess him, a golden light suddenly bloomed from Xian's chest and shook off its hand. What? Xian was already prepared to fight the Demon King, but he didn't expect such a thing to happen. At this moment, he felt his chest heat up, as if something was burning. It's that Xianxia talisman. He instantly reacted. The Xianxia talisman could block a demonic possession once. The Demon King's claw was directly shaken off. However, this Xianxia talisman was gone. If the Demon King wanted to possess him, it could do so from the front, back, left, or right. However, Xian's reaction was faster than it. Xianxia Sword Art, Xianxia Demon Exterminating Slash. With a swift swing of the Bahuang sword, it directly struck the Demon King's body and sent it flying. Not only that, the Demon King was also severely shaken by this attack. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xian attacked wildly. Although not all of the Xianxia Demon Exterminating Slashes hit, 3 of them were hit. Chapter 487. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Escaping Alive. Phew, that scared me to death. Xian heaved a sigh of relief. If he was possessed by the Demon King, he would be in deep trouble. Fortunately, he had the Xianxia talisman. The Xianxia talisman was something that every Xianxia Palace disciple knew how to use. However, Xian's Xianxia talisman was made by Elder Li, so its quality was much better. So this thing can resist the Demon King's possession. Unfortunately, there's only one. Xian thought helplessly, then hurriedly put away the Demon King's demonic orb and devoured it. Ding! The host has opened the 34th ley vein. The system notified. 31 ley veins had shot up to the 34th ley vein. The Demon King's experience points were indeed quite high. This time, it was a close call. Xian hurriedly took out a few Xianxia talismans and stuck them all over his body. He also understood that these Xianxia talismans were not easy to make. These elites from the main sect only had 1 or 2 in their interspatial rings. Now, Xian did not dare to be careless. If he could not resist the Demon King and was possessed by it, his consciousness would be instantly erased. At that time, he would no longer be himself. Even if the Demon King escaped, only a soulless empty shell would be left. It's better to progress slowly. This Demon King should be considered weak. If I encounter a strong one, it will be troublesome. Xian decided not to go deeper. Instead, he returned to the periphery to hunt demon soldiers and demon generals. Time slowly passed. At this time, it had been half a month since Xian entered the demon cave. After the frightening experience last time, Yi Xian was very careful. He did not encounter any demon king again. Because of this, he had opened 36 ley veins. However, just as he was killing monsters to level up, a deafening sound rang out in the demon cave. Is it breaking the seal again? Yi Xian was very calm this time. This was the third time he had entered the demon cave. However, in the next moment, he felt that something was wrong. This loud sound did not seem to be from the demon army. Could it be that the demon king has awakened? Yi Xian suddenly shivered. This demon master was the biggest boss in this demon's Denver. He was also the one that Xianxia Palace feared the most. Previously, he had heard from the elite disciples of the Xianxia Palace that this devil lord seemed to still be in a deep sleep, but now that he thought about it, he should have woken up. Before the demon master woke up, it was always the demon king or demon marshal who led the soldiers to attack the seal. Now that the demon master is awake, the seal! Yi Xian shuddered. All of a sudden, he had a bad premonition in his heart. He just didn't know if the Xianxia Palace had sent any more masters. However, he understood that he absolutely could not deal with this devil lord. No matter what, it's better to hide first, in case we meet. Yi Xian decided to go into hiding. This loud sound reverberated throughout the entire demon's den. The sound reverberated for a whole 5 minutes before it finally stopped. Immediately after, the sound of the demonic army gathering together and charging towards the entrance of the demon's den could be heard. The demon's den doesn't only have one entrance. If so many people who are possessed by the demonic creatures rush out, even those masters will have to kill them for a long time. If they buy time for the demon king, I'm afraid the seal won't last long. Yi Xian thought to himself. He just waited quietly in one place. This was an unusual time, so it was better for him to be honest. Every time the demonic creatures attacked the seal, there would be a huge commotion. However, this time they stopped very quickly. This time, they were destroyed too quickly. Something doesn't feel right. Yi Xian, who was hiding in a corner, frowned. He wondered if the demonic army had broken through the seal and seen the light of day again. The seal of the demon's den was useless to him. Even the humans possessed by the demonic creatures could get out. Therefore, if these demonic creatures had broken through the seal, then the people of the Xianxia Palace must be busy at this time. He might be able to take the opportunity to escape the demon's den. Let's go take a look. About half an hour later, Yi Xian made a decision in his heart. He immediately rushed towards one of the entrances. Just now, the deafening sound reverberated, but now, it was completely silent. This was very suspicious. When he arrived at the entrance of the demon's den, he found that the formation at the entrance had been broken, and there were countless demonic creatures floating in the air outside. The seal was indeed broken. At this time, the masters of the Xianxia Palace were constantly fighting with the demonic creatures. Not only that, but there were also masters from various forces on the Celestial Wolf Island. There's another one here. Suddenly, a loud shout sounded. Yi Xian turned his head and found that several disciples of the Xianxia Palace had surrounded him. These people thought that Yi Xian was a human possessed by the demonic creatures. Since you've delivered yourselves to me, don't blame me. Yi Xian quickly rushed out and took away the interspatial rings of these disciples of the Xianxia Palace. However, he did not take their lives. After all, the Celestial Wolf Island was in deep trouble. These people could still kill the demonic creatures if they were alive. Taking advantage of the chaos in the Xianxia Palace, Yi Xian quickly left. However, he changed his mind and decided to take a look first. After all, there would be a large number of demonic creatures here. He might be able to get some Demon King's demon orbs. Now that he had opened 36 earth veins, he could begin to open the heaven veins after opening 36 more. His strength was considered the top on the Celestial Wolf Island. He immediately took out a mask and killed his way out. A large number of demonic creatures were suppressed in the demon's den. Ever since the demon lord woke up, these demonic creatures rushed out. At this time, a large number of demonic creatures had broken through the encirclement, left the Xianxia Palace, and began to wreak havoc on the Celestial Wolf Island. The Xianxia Palace did not expect the demon lord to wake up so quickly. Fortunately, the Xianxia Palace of the Celestial Wolf territory sent experts. Otherwise, the Xianxia Palace of the Celestial Wolf Island alone would have been destroyed in an instant. After Yi Xian saw the light of day again, he began to run quickly. He had two targets. One was the demonic creatures, and the other was the human's interspatial rings. In any case, he wanted everything that could help him improve his realm. Along the way, he also saw many human corpses. Most of these human corpses had interspatial rings, so Yi Xian benefited. Ding! The host has opened the 30th Earth vein. After hearing the notification, Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. Although his leveling speed in the demon's den was fast, it was still faster to obtain interspatial rings. At this moment, from the corner of his eyes, he saw a familiar figure. This figure was fighting with a long-horned demon king. Is that Elder Li? Yi Xian recognized him. This Elder Li was the Xianxia Palace elder who threw him into the demon's den that day. However, if he had not given Yi Xian a Xianxia talisman, Yi Xian would have been possessed by the demon king. Chapter 488. Time is of the essence. Elder Li had only opened 34 earth veins. Now that Yi Xian had opened 3 earth veins higher than him, the latter had the ability to kill him instantly. Elder Li was currently being suppressed by a demon king and was in constant retreat. He was in danger of being possessed at any moment. Bang! Suddenly, a muffled sound rang out. The demon king was jolted back a little. It had bumped into Elder Li's talisman. It was because of these talismans that Elder Li was able to hold on until now. Unfortunately, this was the last talisman he had. The demon king's claws reached out again. This time, it wanted to possess Elder Li. Elder Li's expression darkened. He knew that he was most likely doomed this time. However, at this moment, Prime Purity Demon Slaying Slash. Suddenly, several extremely powerful sword beams swept over, instantly striking the Devil King's body. The Devil King's body shook violently before dispersing. Instant kill. What? Elder Li was startled. He turned his head and saw a masked figure rushing towards him. The masked figure then put away the Demon King's demon orb. The masked figure who saved Elder Li was naturally Yi Xian. However, just as Elder Li was about to thank him, Yi Xian rushed in front of him and took away his interspatial ring before he could react. Back at the Tang family, it was Elder Li who captured Yi Xian and threw Yi Xian into the demon cave. However, before he threw Yi Xian in, he gave Yi Xian a Prime Purity talisman. This Prime Purity talisman saved Yi Xian's life. Therefore, Yi Xian was repaying the favor by saving him. And now, Yi Xian was avenging the Tang family's punch by taking Elder Li's interspatial ring. I'll spare your life. Yi Xian coldly snorted in his heart. He glanced at Elder Li and quickly left. Elder Li was also dumbfounded. Yi Xian had killed the Demon King, which meant that he wasn't possessed by a demon. However, he never expected that Yi Xian would be so greedy as to steal his interspatial ring. Most importantly, he felt that this masked man's figure was a little familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. He put away the Qiankuan ring that Yi Xian had left behind and found that the things inside had disappeared, leaving only a few bottles of healing medicine. This? Elder Li's eyes widened. He recognized his own universe ring, but how did so many things in it disappear? After Yi Xian left, he quickly rushed towards the nearby powerful auras. Some of these powerful auras were Devil Kings, while others were elders of Xianxia Palace. In any case, every time Yi Xian passed by, he would gain something. After robbing everyone in the vicinity, Yi Xian finally opened the 38th Earth vein. Although the situation was urgent and he was taking advantage of the situation, if his strength increased, his contribution would definitely surpass that of all the elders combined. He circled Xianxia Palace a few times and found many Devil Kings, but he didn't find a Demon Lord stronger than them. It seemed that the Demon Lord had already mixed in with the army of demons and left. He didn't know if Heavenly Wolf Island could survive this calamity. Yi Xian also left and began to chase after the demons. After the demon army broke through the seal and saw the light of day again, they scattered in all directions. No matter how strong the humans were, it was impossible to stop them all. Yi Xian flew to a city near Xianxia Palace. Sure enough, this city had been invaded by demons and screams of agony could be heard. Demons could possess a human. Even if the human was killed, they could survive and continue to possess another human. When the demons invaded a city, they would possess a human, then crazily attack the surrounding humans. They wouldn't even let go of the ordinary civilians. Looks like Heavenly Wolf Island is finished. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly. The demon army numbered in the millions, and each of them was comparable to a physical strength warrior. However, There were less than 100,000 physical strength warriors on Heavenly Wolf Island. Furthermore, even if a demon possessed a divine core warrior, it would still cause their overall strength to skyrocket. Therefore, Heavenly Wolf Island simply couldn't defend against these demons. Perhaps, in just a few days, the entire Heavenly Wolf Island would be destroyed. Yi Xian sensed his surroundings as well, but he didn't find any powerful demons in this city. At most, they were at the Devil General level. Therefore, he turned around and left. It wasn't that he didn't want to save these people, but he had something more important to do. When a human was possessed by a demon, it could be said that they had become possessed by a demon. These people would retain their consciousness, and they would kill anyone they saw. If Heavenly Wolf Island was destroyed, they would most likely attack the other islands. Therefore, what Yi Xian needed to do now was to kill his way to the Tang family and prevent what happened in the Heavenly Water Continent from being leaked. Also, he needed to find out who the Tang family had reported what happened in the Heavenly Water Continent to. However, Yi Xian guessed that they must have reported it to the Lord of Heavenly Wolf Island. After all, the Lord of Heavenly Wolf Island had the most power. No matter what, he couldn't allow the location of the Heavenly Water Continent to be exposed, even if it meant wiping out the entire Tang family. Although there were many innocent people in the Tang family, there were hundreds of millions of people living in the Heavenly Water Continent. If the demons found the Heavenly Water Continent, they would be finished. Without hesitation, Yi Xian started flying towards the Tang family. Back then, it took Sect Elder Li 2 days to bring him here. But this time, Yi Xian traveled by himself, and arrived at the Tang family in less than half a day. The demon army had just appeared, and they were still attacking the cities and sects around the Xianxia Palace. Therefore, it was impossible for them to arrive here. Yi Xian directly rushed into the Golden Crow City Lord Manor and sought out the Tang family patriarch. The patriarch was still dealing with family affairs. When Yi Xian appeared in front of him, he was so scared that he almost had a heart attack. "Sir, you are..." The Tang family patriarch paled. He had already opened 29 earth veins, but Yi Xian was able to silently appear in front of him. His strength was definitely far greater than his own. "I ask you, who knows about the Heavenly Water Island incident?" Yi Xian coldly asked. "Heavenly Water Island?" The Tang family patriarch's expression changed. He didn't understand why Yi Xian would ask such a question. "Sir, you..." The Tang family patriarch opened his mouth, but before he could finish, a beam of sword energy slashed at him and severed his arm. "I don't want to listen to your nonsense. Who knows about the Heavenly Water Island incident, and who you reported it to? List them one by one. Otherwise, I'll slaughter your entire Tang family." Yi Xian's tone was unyielding. He didn't allow the Tang family patriarch to refuse. "Yes." The Tang family patriarch swallowed his saliva. He hurriedly took out a pen and paper, and began to list the names one by one. Soon he came up with a list. There were many sailors who discovered the Heavenly Water Island that day. "I only listed the members of my Tang family." The Tang family patriarch timidly handed over the paper. Chapter 489. Translator, Nioibo Studio Editor. Nioibo Studio Demon Lord, no. Clan Master Tang nodded solemnly. "Good." Yi Xian didn't waste his breath and directly cut off his head with a single sword strike. Yi Xian had no choice but to use this method due to the urgency of the situation. After keeping Clan Master Tang's interspatial ring, he quickly left to search for the people on the list. It was a huge project because there were thousands of people who had arrived at Sky Water Island. Some of them were not in Golden Crow City, so Yi Xian could not kill them all. Therefore, he could only kill those who were stronger. After all, ordinary people only knew about Sky Water Island, but not its exact location. Yi Xian circled Golden Crow City for about a day before he killed the people on the list who were still in Golden Crow City. A day later, the demonic army arrived at Golden Crow City. Yi Xian's face darkened when he saw the densely packed black figures in the sky. He then charged toward them. Ding! Host has opened the 39th Earth Vein. Yi Xian quickly left after cleaning up the large group of demonic creatures. This time, his target was Heavenly Wolf City. The discovery of a new island by the Tang family's fleet naturally had to be reported to the Heavenly Wolf Lord for a reward. Therefore, Yi Xian had to do it again. Fortunately, Heavenly Wolf City was very far away. Before Yi Xian arrived at Heavenly Wolf City, the demonic creatures had not invaded. The Heavenly Wolf Lord was an expert who had opened more than 50 earth veins. However, he was not a threat to Yi Xian because he was not in Heavenly Wolf City. Yi Xian directly rushed into the governor's mansion of Heavenly Wolf City and began to investigate Sky Water Island. The entire governor's mansion was in an uproar. Before the demonic army arrived, Yi Xian had already caused a ruckus. Unfortunately, no one could stop Yi Xian. After Yi Xian killed all the warriors, he also opened up the 41st Earth Vein. At the same time, he also learned that the Heavenly Wolf Lord had gone to help Xianxia Palace. Even the Heavenly Wolf Lord knows about it. It seems that I have to kill him too. Yi Xian, who was in the Heavenly Wolf City's City Lord's mansion, narrowed his eyes when he heard this news. If it had been in the past, he would have only needed to inform the Sky Wolf Lord about the Sky Water Island. The Sky Wolf Lord would definitely not go against Yi Xian for such a barren island. But now, the Sky Wolf Overlord had gone to help slay the fiends. It would be troublesome if he was possessed by a fiend king or fiend master. Therefore, this person had to die as well. However, Yi Xian did not know where he was, so he could only wander around Sky Wolf Island. Apart from looking for the Sky Wolf Overlord, he killed demon soldiers, demon generals, and demon marshals to level up. Before the demonic army arrived, Yi Xian had already charged in the direction of Xianxia Palace. However, after searching for a period of time and seeing countless cities that had fallen, he still couldn't find the upper echelons of Xianxia Palace or the Celestial Wolf Lord. After all, even if he wanted to traverse Heavenly Wolf Island, it would still take him a few days. Left with no choice, he could only continue to kill the demonic creatures and rescue the people in danger. He began to kill the demonic creatures to level up. Although the demon soldiers and demon generals gave little experience, the interspatial rings of the dead humans were worth a lot. At this time, he had already returned to Jianghu City. More than a day had passed since the demonic army broke through the seal. Yi Xian estimated that the cities and sects closer to Xianxia Palace would not be able to escape and would all be destroyed. Looks like Heavenly Wolf Island is indeed unable to escape calamity. However, just as he was about to leave, a series of loud noises suddenly came from the horizon. There are powerhouses fighting. They should be at least demon marshals. Yi Xian frowned and hurried in that direction. In the next moment, his expression froze because he sensed several extremely powerful auras. Found them. That was Yi Xian's first thought. He sensed a total of 5 powerful auras, and all of them were stronger than him. At this time, he had already opened his 42nd Earth Vein. There were not many who were stronger than him. Immediately, he rushed over with all his might. After a short while, he saw 5 figures fighting. 3 against 2. No, it should be 2 against 3. 2 old men dressed in Xianxia Palace's uniform were fighting against 3 people. Among the 3 people, there were also 2 experts dressed in Xianxia Palace's uniform, but they were from Xianxia Palace on Heavenly Wolf Island. As for the other person, he was a burly man. Yi Xian's eyes narrowed. That burly man was the Lord of Heavenly Wolf territory he was looking for. It seems that those 2 have been possessed. One of them is probably the Demon Lord. Yi Xian guessed inwardly. He could sense the demonic aura on the 2 old men. At the same time, he could see that the 3 people on the side of the Lord of Heavenly Wolf territory were at a disadvantage. They were constantly being beaten back. The Demon Lord and the Demon King are both possessed. Their strength is very strong. If I join them, I should be able to turn the situation around. If I can get their interspatial rings, my realm might be able to improve again. At that time, I can join forces with the 3 of them to kill and devour the Demon Lord. After that, I will deal with the other 3. Yi Xian planned in his heart. The plan was very simple. He would first help the humans kill the Demon Lord. After breaking through his realm, he would turn hostile and kill the Lord of Heavenly Wolf territory and seize the 3 people's interspatial rings. The plan was perfect because he believed in his strength. As long as he joined the humans, he would definitely turn the situation around. He hurriedly flew towards the 5 people. However, what he did not expect was that when he arrived, one of them had been killed, and his corpse fell from the sky. The one who died was not the human possessed by the Demon King, but an elder of Xianxia Palace. Oh no! The expressions of the Xianxia Palace Lord and the Lord of Heavenly Wolf territory changed. Not only that, but Yi Xian was also the same. He originally wanted to fight 4 against 2, but now, even if he joined, it would still be 3 against 2. However, he quickly flew over. He first took the interspatial ring of the headless body that fell from the sky and then hurried over to help. Is he a friend or a foe? The Xianxia Palace Lord and the Lord of Heavenly Wolf Territory looked at each other. When they saw Yi Xian attacking the Demon Lord, they understood that Yi Xian was a human and was on their side. Resist with all your strength and wait for backup. The Xianxia Palace Lord shouted. He did not realize that Yi Xian was the guy that elderly sent into the demon lair that day. Another one has come to die. Humph, if I hadn't just woken up and my strength hadn't recovered to its peak, you would already be dead. A white-haired old man shouted. He was the demon lord now. This possessed Xianxia Palace head sect elder had already opened 47 earth veins, but after being possessed by the demon lord, his realm soared. He was even able to fight against the Xianxia Palace Lord and the Lord of Heavenly Wolf Territory, who had opened more than 50 earth veins by himself. Chapter 490. Translator, Audiobook Studio Editor. Audiobook Studio. The Demon Lord appears. This human was also an elder of the Xianxia Palace. He had already opened 45 earth veins. After being possessed, his strength had also surpassed 50 earth veins. Yi Xian was originally a little confident, but after exchanging blows with this elder, he dared not be so sure. This was because this elder's Xianxia swordsmanship and Xianxia demonic stomping steps had probably been raised to 100%, which put a lot of pressure on Yi Xian. Good, my Xianxia demonic stomping steps hasn't reached 100% yet. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He could observe while fighting. As long as he could raise it to 100%, he would be able to kill his opponent. Of course, he also prayed that the two experts would not be killed by the Demon Lord. Otherwise he would be dead meat. The five of them exchanged blows in the air. The sound was as deafening as thunder. Although his Xianxia demonic stomping steps was much weaker than his opponent's, Yi Xian saw hope. This was because the Demon Lord possessed a human strength. However, it was impossible to have an endless supply of qi. As long as he could stall for time, the Demon Lord would be killed by Yi Xian. As long as the Demon Lord died, Yi Xian could join forces with the other two experts to besiege the Demon Lord. However, at this moment, three figures swept over from the horizon. What? The serious lord turned his head to look. His face immediately turned gloomy because he felt demonic qi. These three people had been possessed by demonic beings. Damn it! Yi Xian and the other two cursed in their hearts. They were done for. The Demon Lord was already so strong. If 3 more people came, it would be 5 against 3. They would be dead meat. Haha, go to hell. The Demon Lord suddenly laughed. Taking advantage of the moment when the serious lord was in a daze, he suddenly drilled out of the Xianxia Palace elder's body and swept over. This happened so quickly that the serious lord was possessed before he could react. The Xianxia Palace Lord widened his eyes. He was in despair. However, this was an opportunity for Yi Xian. Whoosh! Yi Xian suddenly swept over to the Demon Lord's body. What is he doing? Yi Xian's opponent was a little puzzled and chased after him. Without a doubt, Yi Xian's target was naturally that Jianghu ring. An elder from the Xianxia Palace in the Jianghu territory would definitely be very wealthy. Pah! Yi Xian rushed in front of the soulless body and took off his Jianghu ring, instantly devouring everything inside. Ding! The host has unlocked the 43rd Earth Vein. Level up! In an instant, Yi Xian's aura skyrocketed. Coincidentally, the Demon King had caught up to him. Yi Xian immediately turned around and slashed with his sword. What? The Demon King did not expect Yi Xian to suddenly break through and was unable to dodge in time. He could only abandon his body. Hiss! The head of this Jianghu Palace elder was thrown into the air. His universe ring was also obtained by Yi Xian. Devour! Although it didn't help Yi Xian break through again, it still improved his cultivation by quite a bit. Now you're dead meat. Yi Xian's eyes suddenly opened wide. The Demon King who had lost his body was much weaker than him. His speed was too slow compared to him. Bang! 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 A series of muffled sounds rang in the air. This was the sound of Yi Xian using the Xianxia demonic stomping steps to walk in the air. Ding! The proficiency of the Xianxia demonic stomping steps has increased. The current proficiency is 100%. The effect is doubled. This notification caused Yi Xian's morale to soar. This was really timely. Whoosh! In an instant, Yi Xian swept in front of the Demon King. Xianxia demonic slaying slash. Yi Xian quickly slashed with his sword and directly hit the Demon King's body. The latter immediately shook violently and screamed loudly from this hit. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian attacked and directly eliminated the Demon King. Yi Xian devoured the Demon King's demonic orb and his strength increased again. At the same time, the Demon King also killed the Xianxia Palace's palace lord. When he turned his head, he saw that Yi Xian was quickly flying into the distance. However, Yi Xian was not running away. Instead, he was rushing toward the three possessed warriors. Being surrounded was not a good sign, so Yi Xian wanted to get rid of these three people first. Fortunately, these three people were not very strong. They did not even have the strength of 50 earth veins and were easily killed by Yi Xian. Ding! The host has opened the 44th earth vein. After devouring the three people's interspatial rings and 3 demonic orbs, Yi Xian's realm increased again. 2 breakthroughs in a row? The Demon King who possessed the Celestial Wolf Lord frowned slightly. Then his eyes lit up and he said, "Boy, I want this body of yours." Immediately, he flew toward Yi Xian. "My body is not for you to take as you wish." Yi Xian's eyes flashed and he rushed back. Just now, he could not do anything to the Demon King. Now that he had broken through twice, he estimated that he could definitely stop the Demon King. However, to be on the safe side, he first rushed toward the Xianxia Palace Lord's corpse. The Demon King did not know that Yi Xian could devour heaven and earth treasures to level up. He only knew that Yi Xian's aptitude was not bad, so he did not stop him. Instead, he prepared to capture Yi Xian and possess him. Yi Xian easily obtained the Xianxia Palace Lord's interspatial ring and his strength increased again. At this moment, the Demon Master finally reacted. "Haha, although I don't know how you did it, your body is mine." The Demon King laughed loudly and pounced on Yi Xian. "You want my body? Let's see if you have the ability," Yi Xian said coldly. Now, the Demon King did not have any helpers. Although Yi Xian did not have any helpers, he had a superior recovery ability. Previously, he had a great battle with the Serious Lord. Although he was possessed by the Demon King, he did not have much true qi in his body. Therefore, Yi Xian had a high chance of killing the Serious Lord and forcing the Demon King to appear. After possessing the Serious Lord, the Demon King's strength increased. However, Yi Xian had mastered the Xianxia Demon Stomping Steps to full mastery, so he was evenly matched with the Demon King. During the battle, the Demon King kept looking at Yi Xian with a greedy expression, as if Yi Xian's body had become his private property. However, as time passed, he discovered that there was a problem with true qi. This kid's true qi is endless. How many secrets does he have? The Demon King was very puzzled. The two fought for a full minute. Then, the Demon King quickly retreated because of the true qi. After him. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. This meant that the Demon King did not have much true qi left. This was a good opportunity to beat a drowning dog. At this time, a shadow suddenly appeared behind the Serious Lord. Yi Xian was startled. This was the Demon King leaving this body. Chapter 491. Translator, Transin Editor. Transin trapped? You're finally going to show yourself. Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. He immediately seized the opportunity to attack. As long as he could obtain the Celestial Wolf Territory Lord's Yin and Yang ring, his strength would increase significantly. Then, killing the Demon Lord would be a piece of cake. Soon, the Demon Lord escaped from the Celestial Wolf Territory Lord's body. This body was running out of vital energy. Yi Xian remained vigilant. Just now, the Demon Lord had moved his body like this. He couldn't allow himself to fall so easily. He's out. The Demon Lord finally escaped from the Celestial Wolf Territory Lord's body. After escaping, he quickly rushed towards Yi Xian. "I don't want the Yin and Yang ring anymore. I'll kill you first." Yi Xian shouted in his heart. He launched a few prime purity demon-slaying slashes at the Demon Lord. However, what he had forgotten was that the last time a Demon King's speed had suddenly increased explosively. Today, he saw it again. "Kid, you're finished." Demonic disintegration technique. The Demon Lord roared in his heart. He suddenly increased his speed and dodged the prime purity demon-slaying slashes in an instant. He charged straight into Yi Xian's body. The The prime purity talisman that Yi Xian's body had stuck on was completely useless against the demon lord. It was immediately burned to ashes by the demonic energy. This. Yi Xian widened his eyes. At this moment, he could already feel an aura drilling into his brain. His consciousness was quickly fading away. No, I can't let him take over my body. Yi Xian roared in his heart. He knew that if the demon lord wanted to take over his body, he would have to erase his soul. If the demon lord succeeded in taking over his body, then even if the demon lord left, he would become an empty shell without a soul like the heavenly wolf territory's lord. His willpower was fighting against the demon lord. Kid, stop resisting. It's useless. Don't worry, I'll find your wife. I'll make you the strongest person in the world. The demon lord's voice rang in Yi Xian's mind. He was luring Yi Xian and weakening Yi Xian's consciousness. F***ck your mother. I'll find my wife, my father, and my brother-in-law myself. Get the F***ck off. Yi Xian cursed as he resisted. It had to Yi Xian's mind to say. His willpower. If Yi Xian was Yi, he would have been obliterated by the demon lord. What a stubborn brat. To have to disappear to me. The demon lord roared. Disappear my F***cku. Yi Xian was. He of Yi was of his of the of. It's to Yi. And Yi Xian were in a standoff. It had to be said that Yi Xian's willpower was the strongest the demon lord had ever seen. The demon lord fought for 5 minutes but was unable to destroy Yi Xian's willpower and take over his body. Bastard, you can't take over my body. Get the F***ck out of here. Yi Xian cursed in his mind. He was also surprised by his strong willpower. Impossible. It wasn't easy for me to find a body like yours. How can I let it go so easily? F***ck off. The two were in a stalemate for another 5 minutes. They were still locked in a stalemate. The demon lord was very angry. As long as he could take over Yi Xian's body, he would be able to take revenge after a period of secluded cultivation. Unfortunately, Yi Xian's willpower was beyond his imagination. He estimated that he would not be able to take over Yi Xian's body even if he fought for another day. Thus, he decided to go out first and capture Yi Xian. Then, he would slowly grind away at Yi Xian's willpower. But in the next moment, he was stunned. He realized that he was unable to leave Yi Xian's body. He was trapped. Stinking brat, what did you do? I can't get out. The demon lord shouted in Yi Xian's mind. Can't get out? Yi Xian was startled. He was eager for the demon lord to leave his body. How could he not get out? At this moment the demon lord shouted again. That golden dantian, what the hell is that? It's trapping me. Golden dantian? Yi Xian paused. Golden dantian. Wasn't that the devouring system? Brat. Hurry up and let me out. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. The demon lord panicked. If he was trapped in this body, then it meant that he could no longer take over other people's bodies. If Yi Xian was killed, then his soul would scatter. How would I know how to get out? Yi Xian said angrily. Damn it, you don't know? I can't wait to chase you out. Why would I restrict you? Yi Xian replied. Damn it, you stinking brat, don't do anything stupid. Otherwise, I'll kill you even if I have to self-destruct. The demon lord panicked. Now that he was trapped in Yi Xian's body, he couldn't control Yi Xian's body. If Yi Xian killed himself now, then he would die too. You damn thing. Hurry up and get out. Your golden dantian is restricting me. What do you think I should do? How would I know? The two of them started cursing each other, directly cursing each other's parents and ancestors. Then, Yi Xian realized that something was wrong. You were human when you were alive? Yi Xian asked in astonishment. Nonsense, I only cultivated demonic arts and was heavily injured and sealed by a villain. I had no choice but to become like this. The demon lord replied. Then where did the other demonic creatures come from? Yi Xian asked again. They were formed from the demonic qi I exhaled over the years, the demon lord replied. Now, Yi Xian finally understood. There was a group of demonic creatures suppressed under Xianxia Palace on Celestial Wolf Island. In fact, there was only the demon lord in the beginning, but as time passed, so many demonic creatures were born. However, now wasn't the time to talk about this. The demon lord was trapped in Yi Xian's body. This was a timer. If Yi Xian wasn't careful and the demon lord seized his body, then he would be in trouble. Therefore, Yi Xian had to kick the demon lord out of his body. Brat, this golden dantian isn't under your control. I won't take your body anymore, as long as you help me complete one thing. The demon lord suddenly asked. What? Yi Xian asked in astonishment in his mind. I became like this because of Xianxia Palace, so I want you to help me destroy Xianxia Palace. Once it's done, I'll self-destruct. The demon lord replied. Destroy Xianxia Palace? Self-destruct? Yi Xian asked. Which one are you referring to? Xianxia Palace seemed to have branches in many territories. Xianxia Palace on Celestial Wolf Island was one of them. Xianxia Palace on Celestial Wolf Island was the earliest one. After that, the experts of Xianxia Palace went to Celestial Wolf Island and built another one. They even listed it as the main branch. However, I want you to destroy all of Xianxia Palaces, the demon lord said. All of them. Chapter 492. A secret not passed on. What if I don't agree? Yi Xian asked again. If you don't agree, then we can only perish together. I can't take over your body, but that doesn't mean I can't kill you. Without waiting for Yi Xian to speak, he added, the people from the Supreme Pure Palace aren't good people either. On the surface, they seem to be exterminating all evil creatures, but in reality, they're secretly capturing people who cultivate the demonic Tao, using them to nurture demonic creatures, and then killing them to use the demon orbs and the like to cultivate. After Yi Xian heard this, he was very surprised. He didn't expect Xianxia Palace to be so bad. What kind of experts does Xianxia Palace have in Jianghu territory? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and asked. I was once a candidate for Xianxia Palace's palace master, but another person ambushed me and seriously injured me in order to get the position. At that time, he had already opened 65 veins. If he was still alive, he might have already reached the peak of Earth Vein or Heaven Vein. The demon lord replied. Yi Xian rolled his eyes and thought, if you didn't cultivate the devil Tao, why would he do that to you? However, he didn't dare to say it out loud. What if he angered the demon lord and caused him to self-destruct? Peak of Earth Vein. I only have 40 veins. How do you want me to avenge you? Yi Xian asked. What are you afraid of? Can't you quickly increase your realm? You can start with those weaker Xianxia Palace first. After your strength increases, you can go to Jianghu territory. The demon lord said. Is that so? Yi Xian's eyes suddenly narrowed. Although the demon lord ran into his mind and read his memories, he didn't seem to know about the devouring system. He only knew that Yi Xian had a special method to quickly increase his strength. After all, the devouring system was the devouring system. It could even exchange for god-rank bloodlines. How could it be controlled by a soul essence realm demon? I can help you, but you better keep your word. Yi Xian said. Don't worry, I've already become this kind of thing that's neither human nor ghost. As long as you help me destroy Xianxia Palace, I'll self-destruct. I definitely won't go back on my word. The demon master said solemnly. Although Yi Xian didn't want to work with him. Was there any other way? Yi Xian felt very helpless. First, he went down and took the universe ring of the palace lord of Xianxia Palace, then swallowed it. Then, he said in his mind, can you summon your demonic army? Although these demons were created by me, they have their own consciousness. Unless I'm very close to them, I can't control them, the demon lord answered in Yi Xian's mind. Then I'll circle around Heavenly Wolf Island and use your soldiers to break through. Is that all right? Yi Xian asked. As you wish. Even if they all die, it has nothing to do with me. The demon master was indifferent. Since that was the case, Yi Xian quickly left. As long as those demons were nearby, they could be controlled by the demon master. However, Yi Xian was only one person. Even with his speed, it would probably take him a month to circle around Heavenly Wolf Island. However, this way of leveling up was more stable. By the time Yi Xian finished cleaning up the demonic army, his realm had also increased to 48 ley lines. At this time, he finally understood how huge this demonic army was. There were at least several million of them. Under the demon master's control, this demonic army was at the mercy of Yi Xian. Needless to say, it was very satisfying. A month later, Yi Xian's meridians had also directly opened up to 52 ley lines. He had opened up a total of 8 ley lines. However, after the demonic army's baptism, Heavenly Wolf Island was completely unrecognizable. Out of the hundreds of millions of people, only a few million remained. It was simply too tragic to look at. After learning this number, the demon master didn't care at all and coldly said, "Humph, you can't blame me for this matter. Blame it on the Pure Palace." Yi Xian didn't feel like talking nonsense with him and directly left Heavenly Wolf Island for the Blood Cliff continent. Fortunately, the demon master had been waiting for nearly 100 years. So, Yi Xian wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to inquire about Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. Heavenly Water Island was actually very close to the Blood Cliff continent, but it was separated by the chaotic Astral Ocean's territory, so no one dared to rush over. Heavenly Wolf Island wasn't far from the Blood Cliff continent, so Yi Xian directly flew over the sea for 2 days to reach it. At this time, his destination was a low-grade territory on the coast of the Blood Cliff continent. However, this territory didn't have a branch of the Pure Palace, so he went around this territory and left some information in some organizations. This information was left for Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song as long as they came to this territory. Then, Yi Xian went to a mid-grade territory where there was a branch of the Pure Palace. The palace master of the Xianxia Palace branch had only opened up 40 earth veins, so Yi Xian directly plundered the entire Xianxia Palace before calmly leaving. Originally, the demon master wanted Yi Xian to slaughter the entire Pure Palace, but Yi Xian refused. Otherwise, this branch of the Pure Palace would have already been destroyed. Similarly, he also left a message in this territory and then hurriedly left. The Blood Cliff continent wasn't like the Heavenly Water continent. He didn't have the Omni Mirror, so he could only use this method to find Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. Time slowly passed. As long as Yi Xian passed by a territory, he would leave a message in that territory. Moreover, he left a lot of heavenly treasures, enough to keep the message up for 5 years. As long as Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song saw it, they would pass through the deep-sea underground palace and return to the Heavenly Water continent to wait for Yi Xian. Of course, this was under the premise that they hadn't broken through to the spirit realm. Yi Xian spent an entire month running through all the cities in the coastal territories. After that, he continued to loot the Xianxia Palace. The Pure Palace could be considered a top power among the mid-grade territories. It had branches in more than 10 territories. Unfortunately, all of them had been ransacked by Yi Xian. After ransacking these branches, Yi Xian directly opened his 56th earth vein. In the end, these branches were only branches. The strongest among them only had 60 earth veins. This was something that Yi Xian could easily deal with. "Brat, you have finished your business and increased your cultivation. Isn't it time to go to the Heavenly End territory?" The demon master's voice echoed in Yi Xian's mind. Yi Xian pondered for a bit. With his current cultivation, he should be able to challenge experts with 10 earth veins. In other words, he should be able to fight experts with 66 earth veins. However, this was still far from the realm he had in mind. "Isn't it too early?" Yi Xian asked. Chapter 493. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Dao Heart Demon Seed Technique, a secret? What's that? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. This martial art is called Dao Heart Demon Seed Technique. It wasn't created by the people of Xianxia Palace, but an incomplete version that the first palace lord of Xianxia Palace obtained by chance. If it was complete, it would probably be a supreme-grade heaven-tier martial art. This martial art can instantly increase your combat strength, but it requires demonic pearls. "That's why I asked you to leave some demonic pearls behind," Demon Lord replied. Dao Heart Demon Seed Technique? This name sounds a bit. Yi Xian frowned. Yes, this martial art is very powerful, but it has side effects. It requires a demonic seed to be planted in the depths of your heart. Every time you use it, the demonic seed will grow and increase in strength. When it grows to a certain extent, it will cause you to go berserk or even be consigned to eternal damnation, with both body and soul destroyed. I once relied too much on this martial art, so I went berserk and lost my conscience, Demon Lord replied. Every time you use it, the demonic seed will grow and increase in strength? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. His current Beast King rampage could no longer increase his strength by much. This Dao Heart Demon Seed technique was indeed good, but unfortunately, there was a danger of going berserk. However, as long as he used it carefully, it shouldn't be a problem. You'll teach this martial art to me? Yi Xian was a little skeptical. I've already become like this, so why should I hide it? As long as you learn this martial art, it won't be a problem to destroy Xianxia Palace, Demon Lord said solemnly. You're not playing any tricks, are you? Yi Xian was still a little worried. After all, this was a demon lord who had gone berserk when he was alive. Humph, your willpower is so strong, so you'll definitely be able to use it more than me. Just tell me if you want to learn it or not. If you do, I'll teach you immediately. If you don't, go find a place to train yourself. I can still wait. Demon Lord snorted. Yi Xian thought for a moment. He suddenly remembered that he still had the devouring system. As long as Demon Lord told him about the Dao Heart Demon Seed technique, he could copy the martial art into the devouring system and verify it. Go ahead, I'm listening. Yi Xian nodded. All right, listen up. The Devil Master did not waste any more time. He immediately recited the chant of the Dao Heart Seed Devil technique. Yi Xian immediately memorized it. Ding! Copy of Dao Heart Demonic Seed Great Technique successful. After hearing the notification, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. This martial art was actually real. He thought that the Devil Lord was playing a trick on him. He thought that the Devil Lord had taken advantage of him while he was cultivating to take over his body. But now it seemed that he was being overly suspicious. Dao Heart Seed Devil Technique, incomplete? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. Because it was incomplete, it could only be considered a high-grade heaven-level martial art. It could not be considered a top-grade martial art. At that moment, he consumed some Devour Crystals and directly learned this martial art. Anyway, Devour Crystals were useless to him now, and there were no side effects even if he didn't use them. Ding! Host has learned the Dao Heart Demonic Seed Technique. Demonic Seed Chapter. You learned it? Demon Lord suddenly felt the change in Yi Xian and asked in shock. Yes, not bad. Yi Xian nodded. His heart was already blooming with joy. He just did not know how much this Dao Heart Demonic Seed Technique could increase his strength by. You really do have many secrets. There are many gaps in your memory, and I can't read it. After committing suicide in Lianyun City, you seem to have become a different person. You killed gods and Buddhas in your way. In just a few days, you killed your way from such a barren place to the Blood Cliff continent. Demon Lord was also very curious. Yi Xian was the most talented person he had ever seen. Yi Xian did not say much. He knew that the Devil Master would not know about the Devour System's memory. Okay, I will go to the Heaven Absolute Territory now. Yi Xian's confidence suddenly increased. I will also take a step back. As long as you kill all the upper echelons of the Xianxia Palace and disband the Xianxia Palace, the mission will be considered complete. Demon Lord said. Okay. The Heaven Absolute Territory was the strongest middle-grade territory in the Luosha region. It was infinitely close to being a high-grade territory. Here, Essence Soul Realm cultivators could be seen everywhere, and Spirit Realm cultivators were as common as dogs. Yi Xian did not waste time and directly rushed to the Xianxia Palace of the Heaven Absolute Territory. Soon, he arrived at the Xianxia Palace of the Heaven Absolute Territory. The Xianxia Palace of the Heaven Absolute Territory was similar to the others. They were all solemn and solemn. They liked the color white very much. At this time, there was an endless stream of people in front of the Xianxia Palace. It seemed that they were holding some kind of grand event. Demon Lord used Yi Xian's eyes to sense it. The anger in his heart immediately erupted. What a hateful aura! Destroy, destroy them! Demon Lord gritted his teeth and said. You feel that their aura is hateful, and they feel the same. I also have to thank you. If I get close now, I will definitely be discovered by them. Yi Xian coldly snorted. What are you still standing there for? Demon Lord asked somewhat agitatedly. Why are you in such a hurry? Can't you see that the Xianxia Palace seems to be holding some kind of grand event? With so many people gathered together, you will definitely be besieged as soon as you enter. Yi Xian rolled his eyes. He wanted to secretly sneak into the Xianxia Palace and quickly raise his level. After all, it was safer this way. Now that the Xianxia Palace seemed to be holding some kind of grand event, many foreign martial artists had gathered. If he rashly rushed in, he was afraid that he would die very miserably. Then fly higher and see what tricks they are playing. Demon Lord reminded him. You don't need to remind me. Yi Xian flew high into the sky. He flew to a layer of clouds that ordinary people couldn't see, and then looked down. Sure enough, thousands of experts had already gathered in the Xianxia Palace. There were foreign martial artists, as well as people from the Xianxia Palace. Kid, look at the middle. Suddenly, the Demon Lord reminded him. Yi Xian focused his eyes and saw a figure in the middle of the arena surrounded by thousands of people. He's been tied up. What's going on? Yi Xian was somewhat confused. I feel that this person is emitting a large amount of demonic energy. He should be cultivating demonic arts. The Xianxia Palace should be holding a demon extermination conference. Demon Lord said. A demon extermination conference. Hearing this, Yi Xian instantly understood. Were they trying to kill the chicken to warn the monkey? The person tied up in the middle of the arena below was probably not weak. He should have done something to be captured by the Xianxia Palace and then killed in front of thousands of people. In addition to the Xianxia Palace, there seems to be a powerful force in the heavenly absolute territory called the Killing Luo sect. This person should be an expert from the Killing Luo sect, Demon Lord said again. This was the information that Yi Xian had inquired before, so Demon Lord also knew. Then let's wait and see this demon extermination conference. Anyway, you're not in a hurry, Yi Xian said. Okay. Chapter 494. Demon Extermination Conference. There were quite a lot of people who came to Xianxia Palace to watch. After all, it was the #1 sect in the Jianghu territory. There was an endless stream of people coming up, and the number soon exceeded 10,000. Moreover, this was only counting the cultivators of other forces, not the disciples of Xianxia Palace. Yi Xian was rejoicing that he didn't rush in rashly. Otherwise, he would definitely be considered an accomplice of that Killing Luo sect expert and be besieged by tens of thousands of people. He waited in the air for a while more, and then the higher-ups of Xianxia Palace came out. The leader was a middle-aged man with a sage-like appearance. He wore a white robe and held a horsetail whisk in his hand. He walked out under the gazes of tens of thousands of people. Behind him were 10 white-robed old men. At first glance, they were not ordinary people. Welcome to Xianxia Palace to participate in the Demon Extermination Conference. I'm sure everyone has heard of the fierce reputation of Killing Luo sect. The main character of today's Demon Extermination Conference is the left guardian of Killing Luo sect, Jianghu. This person once lowered his status to various middle-level and low-level territories, slaughtering and plundering. Hundreds of thousands of people died under his sword, and he even disbanded more than 10 branches of Xianxia Palace. Today, I will kill this person in front of everyone. The Palace Lord of Xianxia Palace said loudly. Most of the people present had heard about what he said. Anyway, Jianghu was a vicious and merciless person of the demon sect. His death was not regrettable. However, Yi Xian, who was eavesdropping in the air, suddenly raised his eyebrows. Wasn't he the one who disbanded those branches of Xianxia Palace? How did it become Jianghu? Tisk. TSK. TSK. You acted decisively and quickly, leaving no trace at all. So this Jianghu became your scapegoat, the Demon Lord said sarcastically. I only looted, but he massacred. Yi Xian corrected. Although he needed a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, he was not so bloodthirsty. For those who were much weaker than him, he would choose to let go of most of them. Therefore, he only followed the style of this world. There was a fundamental difference between him and the people of the demon sect. At this time, the Palace Lord of Xianxia Palace took out a silver-white long sword and slowly walked toward Jianghu, the left guardian of Killing Luo sect. Jianghu, do you have any last words? Xianxia Palace's Palace Lord inquired. When Jianghu, who was tied up by a special rope, heard this, he also angrily rebuked. F***ck your grandmother, the one who robbed your branch wasn't me. Shut up. You people from the demonic sect are full of nonsense and disregard human lives. Now, I'll give you a chance to say your last words. Don't be ungrateful, the Palace Lord of Xianxia Palace shouted coldly. F***ck your cousin. Jianghu was not afraid of power and continued to curse. Hiss. However, as soon as his voice rang out, one of his arms was directly chopped off. Because his entire body was tied up, his arm did not fall to the ground and was still connected to his body. However, a large amount of blood spurted out, splattering all over his face. I'll give you one more chance. The palace lord's face darkened. F***ck your grandfather. Li Jianghu gritted his teeth and shouted, trying to make everyone hear him. Hiss. Another crisp sound rang out. His other arm was also chopped off, and the pain pierced through his heart. Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being heartless. After the palace lord of Xianxia Palace said coldly, he shouted, anyone who has a grudge against Li Jianghu can come up and stab him. Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar. Anyone can stab him? Immediately, thousands of people jumped off the high platform. Li Jianghu was about to cry. Damn it, I'm going to be stabbed thousands of times. Yi Xian, who was high up in the sky, looked a little helpless when he saw this scene. Look, the Xianxia Palace is just a group of wolves in sheep's clothing. They're equally vicious and merciless. Instead of killing the other party, they choose to torture the other party, the demon lord muttered. Yi Xian nodded silently. He had not tried torturing people many times, and Tang Tian was the only one who did it. Immediately after, people lined up below to stab Li Jianghu. Li Jianghu gritted his teeth and persevered. If there were too many wounds on his body, the palace lord of Xianxia Palace would take out healing pills to help him recover. The Demon Extermination Conference instantly turned into a Demon Extermination Conference. So miserable. Yi Xian shuddered. He thought that if he was the one below, he would probably die a tragic death. He had the bloodline of the sacred tree of life. If he was stabbed, as long as it was not the head or the heart, he could quickly recover. Not to mention 1,000 swords, even if it was 10,000 swords, 100,000 swords or 1,000,000 swords, he could withstand it. However, just as Li Jianghu withstood 100 swords, a group of black shadows swept over from the horizon. Kid, look over there, the demon lord suddenly reminded. Yi Xian turned his head in surprise and was stunned. A group of black shadows flew over from the horizon. These shadows were not sacred beasts, but people. All of them were experts dressed in black. There were more than 1,000 of them. Could it be the Killing Luo sect? Yi Xian said in shock. That's right. Everyone has demonic qi on them. They should be the other superpower in the Heaven Extinction Territory, the Killing Luo sect. I'm afraid their purpose this time is to save the left guardian Li Jianghu. They might even want to destroy the Xianxia Palace. The heavens are helping me, the demon lord said. What kind of joke is this? 1,000 people want to destroy tens of thousands? Yi Xian could not believe it. Don't underestimate them. I feel several powerful auras. They are much stronger than when I was alive. Even if they are not Heaven Vein experts, they are at least peak Earth Vein, the demon lord reminded again. Heaven Vein? Yi Xian swallowed. He had destroyed so many Xianxia Palace branches and only opened 58 Earth Veins. Peak Earth Vein was the title for martial artists who had opened about 70 Earth Veins. He thought about it and felt that something was wrong. He asked, that's not right. Does the Killing Luo sect have so many experts? He had heard that the Killing Luo sect only had one peak Earth Vein expert. How could there be so many powerful auras? The people of the demonic sects are a group of martial artists who have turned into demons. Their methods are ruthless and cruel, but they are very united. The Killing Luo sect must have gone to other territories, or even high-level territories to call for help, the demon lord explained. If that's the case, then we are really lucky to have followed your wishes, Yi Xian said. Indeed, the heavens are helping me. As long as I can see the destruction of the Xianxia Palace, I will die without regrets. The demon lord suddenly laughed. His laughter echoed in Yi Xian's mind. He had been severely injured and sealed. He had no choice but to turn into a demon, so he had long thought of himself as a dead person. Yi Xian muttered in his heart, it's not my business whether you die or not. Just keep your promise. Chapter 495. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. A great battle was imminent. Yi Xian was most worried that the demon lord was just casually talking and taking him as a fighter. After all, the palace lord of Xianxia Palace had just said that the people of the demon sect were full of nonsense and did not mean what they said. Now, not only did Yi Xian and the demon lord notice this group of black figures, but even the tens of thousands of people in Xianxia Palace saw them. Killing Luo sect, they must be from Killing Luo sect. They really came. The left guardian of Killing Luo sect has been captured. They can't just sit by and watch. However, the Killing Luo sect only brought 1,000 people. Are they here to die? The martial artists below were all discussing, and the scene suddenly became lively. They were here to participate in the demon extermination conference, so they might be able to see a battle between 1,000 people. The palace lord of Xianxia Palace snorted when he saw the people from Killing Luo sect. He had expected this. Immediately, the experts of Xianxia Palace gathered in the arena. Soon, the people from Killing Luo sect arrived in the sky above Xianxia Palace. Left Guardian, you've suffered. The sect lord of Killing Luo sect said to Jianghu. I can bear with this kind of injury. Sect lord, destroy Xianxia Palace. Jianghu replied loudly. Shut up. Just as he finished speaking, a person flashed to his side and threw a slap. Slap. The sound was crisp and clear, and everyone heard it. The people from Killing Luo sect were immediately enraged. They clamored and wanted to rush up, but they were stopped by the sect lord. Xianxia Palace's slap was not only on left guardian Jianghu's face, but also on the entire Killing Luo sect. Today was supposed to be Xianxia Palace's demon extermination conference, but since you've delivered yourselves to us, we'll destroy your entire Killing Luo sect today. The palace lord of Xianxia Palace said coldly. Is that so? The sect lord of Killing Luo sect narrowed his eyes. The two sides looked at each other in silence, and the people around them also quieted down. Who knew if a fight would break out in the next second? At this time, a figure suddenly walked out of the Killing Luo sect's team. This person was not from Killing Luo sect. Xianxia Palace. I'll give you a chance. Release the left guardian of Killing Luo sect and hand over the Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art. And I'll spare your lives today, the man in green said. Who are you? The palace lord of Xianxia Palace narrowed his eyes. Just now, this man in green had been in the crowd and his aura had been concealed. Now that he had walked out, the palace lord of Xianxia Palace realized that this person was not any weaker than the sect leader of Killing Luo sect. The green-robed man only replied slowly. Hearing these 3 words, the people of Xianxia Palace and the others present were all stunned. The Green Ghost League was not a power from the Heaven Absolute territory. Instead, it came from a high-grade territory. No, to be more precise, it was for the Dao Heart Demon Seed technique. It's you. The palace lord of Xianxia Palace had a gloomy look on his face. He didn't expect that the forces of high-grade territories would come as well. This was troublesome. An elder of Xianxia Palace jumped out and shouted angrily. It was unknown whether he objected to the Alliance Lord of Killing Luo sect or both. If that's the case, then I have nothing to say. The Alliance Lord of Killing Luo sect snorted and stepped aside. The Alliance Lord of Killing Luo sect and Green Ghost Alliance had formed an alliance. As long as they obtained the Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art, they would make a copy and divide it among themselves. I'll give you one more chance. Release the left guardian of Killing Luo sect and hand over the Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art. Xianxia Palace will not be destroyed. The sect lord of Killing Luo sect said again. The Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art was a very powerful martial art. If the demon sect's people obtained it, it might be more powerful than the Xianxia Palace's people. Impossible. If you want to fight, then fight. The elder shouted again. The palace lord of Xianxia Palace looked on with a gloomy face, as if he was hesitating. Not only that, but the tens of thousands of people around were also worried. After all, they were still here. What kind of martial art is the Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art? Why haven't I heard of it before? It must be a secret of Xianxia Palace. Since Xianxia Palace would rather fight to the death than compromise, this Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art must be very powerful. Not necessarily. Maybe Xianxia Palace has the confidence to destroy this group of demon sect people? That's right. It's possible. The surrounding martial artists discussed softly. They were not afraid of being implicated. After all, there were tens of thousands of people here. Only 1,000 people came from Killing Luo sect and Green Ghost Alliance. You really don't agree? The sect lord of Killing Luo sect narrowed his eyes. Cut the crap. The palace lord of Xianxia Palace made his decision. He could hand Jianghu back, but the Dao Heart Demon Seed magic art must not fall into the hands of the demon sect. Because if Killing Luo sect became stronger, even if Xianxia Palace was not destroyed today, who would know in the future? Therefore, the Tao Heart Demon Seed magic art must not be leaked, especially to the demon sect people. Alright, since that's the case, we'll do it ourselves. Kill Luo sect. Listen up. Attack. Green Ghost Alliance. Listen up. Kill. The leaders of the two demon sects shouted angrily. In an instant, thousands of demon sect people swooped down and killed the group of elders and disciples of Xianxia Palace. A great battle broke out in an instant. As one of the top forces in Jianghu territory, Xianxia Palace was not weak. However, what shocked everyone was that in the first wave of attacks from both sides, 1/5 of the Xianxia Palace's experts had perished. Killing Luo sect and Green Ghost Alliance were all elites. They had more experts than Xianxia Palace. After seeing Xianxia Palace's miserable state, the experts of other families and sects looked at each other and shouted, "Help!" Although they were not from Xianxia Palace was an existence that restrained killing Luo sect. If Xianxia Palace was destroyed, they would suffer in Jianghu territory. However, not many forces joined Xianxia Palace's side. At this time, many people began to leave. After all, they did not want to participate in the battle. If Xianxia Palace was destroyed, they would be affected. Tens of thousands of people were reduced by more than half in an instant. Yi Xian, who was watching from the sky, took a look and estimated from a macro perspective. Although Xianxia Palace had reinforcements, their strength was not comparable to killing Luo sect and Green Ghost Alliance. Demon Lord, is it difficult to learn the Tao Heart Demon Seed magic art? Yi Xian suddenly asked. What do you mean? You learned it in an instant. Why are you still asking this? Demon Lord said in confusion. Then how many of Xianxia Palace's experts do you think know the Tao Heart Demon Seed magic art? Yi Xian asked again. I understand.